like we are the center of the sports universe because they know how much we care. Networks know how much we care. ESPN's, Fox, CBS, they know how much the city of Philadelphia cares. And so every reporter is trying to get to the bottom of the story in two sports. Johnny, good morning.
Good morning to you. What is the center of the sports universe? It happens a lot. We're used to playing this time of year, though.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
which is a real bummer.
That's not happening anymore for the Philadelphia Eagles because they lost on Sunday. Sorry to continue to remind you.
Yes.
But every single reporter is trying to get to the bottom of the new offensive coordinator, or at least starting to get the nuggets for the potential next offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. And then there's Bow Watch for the Phillies, where there's reporters left and right trying to get the latest story, either local or nationally. And there's a lot of buzz there. So today's going to be a day where we kind of bounce around a little bit, baseball, football. But obviously we're going to start with the Philadelphia Eagles. And we're going to start with the quarterback. We planned on doing this yesterday, Johnny. But the comments made by a couple of people on this station about how, hey, if you put things into perspective, the season wasn't all that bad. That kind of took over the storm.
I understand there was some backtracking yesterday.
Yeah.
Or that it was taken out of context.
Of course.
Uh-huh.
Not like that show's never taken us out of context.
Yeah, nothing taken out of context.
I've heard 30-second clips be played on Unfiltered before, and they make a whole show out of it.
We weren't telling people to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, obviously, that kind of changed the direction of the show yesterday. So, we were planning on doing a show about Jalen Hurts. So, we're going to do that this morning. And remember, if you were listening to the show on Tuesday, and if you weren't listening to the show on Tuesday, welcome in. We appreciate you as always. We did a show where we try to take logic out of it, where you led with your heart. You got to open your heart, is what Jeffrey Lurie once said. That's the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles. And it was about Nick Sirianni. Logically, I would not move on from Nick Sirianni. I don't think like that's the reason why they lost. I just get annoyed when the offense crumbles over the course of months, not days, not a week leading up to the playoffs, months and 4 months, because the Eagles offense sucked all season and he can't fix it. And that's a problem for me considering he is an offensive-minded coach. He was brought in from Indianapolis as the OC for Frank Reich. He comes here and he's
supposed to be the guy that can help us out to lead us through things.
And he clearly doesn't have answers, especially on Sunday when he literally said, I don't know, when being asked about the second half offense being a problem all season long.
He has no answers.
He has no answers, and that's a problem. So we're going to do that same sort of conversation about Jalen Hurts. Because a loss like that on Sunday, John, and a season that we went through with the roller coaster ride of the offense has led to a lot of conversation or finger pointing, who to blame. I think we all agree that Kevin Petullo was a major problem. You'll hear from Dan Orlovsky later on this segment talking about that major problem, even though people want to say that it was a collective reason why that the Eagles offense struggled. Yeah, sure, offensive line wasn't great.
There's no question. There are always going to be levels of reasons.
Right.
It's not going to be, there's never just going to be one thing.
Right, absolutely not. Now, one thing was Jalen Hurts' play this year. He was not good this year.
No, he was not.
All right? I gave you the numbers yesterday. You brought up Daniel Jones, and he had 123 less passing yards than Jalen Hurts, and he practically played 4 less games. He got injured in his 13th game of the season.
More importantly, he looked great.
Yes. And
he looked MVP.
Jalen Hurts never looked great this year. He had a great game against the Minnesota Vikings where plays were breaking down and he was making plays. Now, again, is that his fault that he had to save that day playing Superman? No, I give him credit for that. I think he had to overcome the ineptitude of his offensive coordinator a lot this season. His second half comeback against the Los Angeles Rams, that was MVP-like Jalen Hurts, right, where he finishes runner-up to Patrick Mahomes a couple of years ago, is the Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 59. We saw flashes, but flashes is not good enough. Flashes for, like, Tyler Shuck is something that you're excited about.
Well, it was a day, too, that there in some of those games, too, he was willing to take off with his feet.
And then that went away.
And there were games where this year he just was not willing to do that, or whether he didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
There are things like that Jalen Hurts that was brought up all year long.
Right. So when we had this conversation about Nick Sirianni on Tuesday, I understood why anyone would have said, I think I want to move on from him, and I'd rather bring in an offensive-minded head coach that can solve an issue. Not Harbaugh, who, by the way, was hired technically,
well, it appears,
didn't
yes.
sign the dotted line yet by the New York Giants while all of us were sleeping. So welcome in a Hall of Fame coach into the division now in the NFC East. But I understood why people would say that about Sirianni. I would understand why somebody may call in today or text in today saying, I wouldn't mind seeing a different quarterback. I've kept my opinion on Jalen Hurts very consistent. The things that I love about him: winner.
Okay, that's a great one. That's a great one to lead with.
Very level-headed.
Okay.
Doesn't really matter what the moment is. He seems like he has no pulse.
That's a great one to have on your side also.
I think he's a very smart quarterback, and I think when he uses his legs, which is a big problem from this year, it makes the offense that much more dangerous. The things I don't like, I don't think he's got the most talented arm. Right?
Okay.
I don't think he's got this arm strength.
Slow down your list because there's a lot to unpack there. Like, why do you say he's a very smart quarterback?
Because he doesn't turn the ball over.
Okay,
I guess.
no. On that,
Like,
on that bullet point, I completely agree with you. But when a quarterback won't do the things that successful quarterbacks do, is he smart?
He can be smart and stubborn.
He can be smart.
Well, the thing is, then you're not smart.
Or he can be smart and limited.
I can tell you this. It is not the things that I am stubborn with in my life that I know are good for me, that I know are the smart things to do that I don't do. That's not smart. That is the definition of dumb. So I don't agree that I wouldn't give him the blanket, he's a smart quarterback. He doesn't like, and it's clear, he does not like to throw over the middle.
Right.
It's clear. We have too much data, and you can be spun any one of a number of ways that he doesn't prefer. How about prefer?
Sure.
To throw over the middle. All the successful quarterbacks in NFL history throw over the middle.
Which is why I don't say smart. I say smart but limited. He can't do I don't think he can do it all that well. Stature's a big part of it. Lack of comfort throwing it over the middle. It's not smart.
Okay.
It's not smart. It's like, I think you're a smart person, but I think you're uncomfortable doing things.
Oh,
That
no.
doesn't make you not smart.
No, I'm going to flat out tell you that there are things that I am absolutely dumb about because of the fact that I am absolutely so stubborn about them. And I think Jalen Hurts has those same attributes. I think his resistance to run. There were running lanes the other day, wide open all day freaking long in that San Francisco game.
Yeah.
And sitting next to some really bright minds in the Eagles press box during games who really watch a lot of tape. And I'll say things they watch for. And there are so many times this year when Jalen Hurts ran east-west along the sidelines and just threw the ball out of bounds.
Yep.
Where if he had turned it up north-south, he could have had a 3-yard gain and slid. A 4-yard gain and slid. And he just dragged a play to the sidelines and then threw it out of bounds for a wasted play. So I just, the smart thing, I don't think he played smart.
Well, he may have been trying to play smart for his body.
And that could be. The thing is, though, that's not smart. But the thing is, though, you can't play that way. You can't. Quarterbacks can't play that
Not
way.
all the time, right?
Exactly. And you can make business decisions as a quarterback.
Right. Now, this is what I feel comfortable saying. If he is not going to turn upfield and run the football, he's not a good enough quarterback. All right?
Absolutely.
We went through his playoff numbers when he ran the football not that long ago. Last year's playoff run, in which they won the Super Bowl, he was running the ball effectively, not running the ball and sliding 2 yards once he crossed the line of scrimmage like we saw against San Francisco. No, running the ball effectively, whether it was design runs or putting the team on his back. I don't believe, when I talk about Jalen Hurts all the time, and I'm honest about my opinion on his limitations, if he will not run the football, he is not a good enough quarterback. He's just not. There are things that he does extremely well. There are things that he does well because of his legs. It also helps the running game. The threat of him running helps Saquon Barkley. And you might say, Saquon Barkley doesn't need that much help. Look, it helped DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift was a 1,000-yard rusher with this Eagles team because of the dominance of the offensive line and because of the threat of Jalen Hurts. If he's not going to do that, it'll be problematic. So our question for you, just like we did Tuesday with Sirianni, if you take logic out of it, because here's the logic. There's nobody else. Like you're what are you gonna do? Move on from Jalen Hurts?
No.
And what? Pick up Justin Fields from the Jets?
No, are you going to go?
You're gonna trade for Kirk Cousins from the Falcons?
Mac Jones?
Mac Jones?
I'm trying to think of quarterbacks that could be available in a trade.
So if you keep logic in the conversation, there is nobody else. Now, if you take logic out of it, and look, you still have to have a little bit of logic. Like, it's not like Jalen Hurts for Joe Burrow straight up's happening, or for Josh Allen straight up is happening. That's not happening. If you take logic out of it, and you can make the emotional decision to find a different option at quarterback, would you do it? That's our question. We did the exact same topic Tuesday with Sirianni. We're doing that topic today now about Jalen Hurts. If you take logic out of the conversation and you're just leading with emotion, would you remove Jalen Hurts? Just simply pick him up. This is exactly what I said about the Sirianni conversation. Pick him up, put him over here, reach into the bag, find somebody else. And 610-632-0975.
And in other words, welcome to the rebuild. Because there's no quarterback who could sustain what the Eagles have done and bring in here.
And that's why my answer is no. I'm not doing it.
And that's easily why my answer is no. Because there's nobody you could suggest to go, well, we're going to go to college and grab this guy.
Right.
Because where the Eagles draft 23, I believe. I believe they ended up 23 in the draft.
It was 23rd overall.
So, and by the way, that draft pick, I believe, is going to have to be used to go get me the replacement for Lane Johnson.
Right, absolutely.
Something like that. A critical need that's going to, have to come down the line. So to me, I'm saying absolutely. I mean, there's not. First of all, I'm not disgusted enough in Jalen Hurts.
He won
like
Super
Jalen
Bowl
Hurts
MVP 11 months ago.
I have too much respect for Jalen Hurts, but you're drafting 23, 54, 68, and 98. So if you're talking about areas you could potentially get a quarterback, 23, 54, 68, 98. I wouldn't be shocked if one of those picks was a quarterback.
Oh, a day 2 pick? Absolutely. Especially if they trade Tanner McKee, because there's talks that they could flip him for a third or fourth round pick.
Maybe
Fourth
a
or
third
fifth,
day
yeah.
pick. Yeah.
Well, maybe back into the third round. Who knows?
I don't think anybody's giving you a third round.
There might be a trade of Tanner McKee, and you're going to want a cheap option as your backup quarterback. You're not going to do the Nick Foles route where you pay a lot of money to have a backup quarterback to Jalen Hurts, right? So here's where the conversation's going to get interesting. You and I lockstep, right? Like, no, we're not doing it logically and without logic. Logic removed. I'm still not plucking Jalen Hurts away from the Philadelphia Eagles and trying to find what's next, despite my feelings toward his limitations. But here's the deal, guys. I say that a lot because we talk about Jalen in this town. I always say there's 4 quarterbacks that I believe are like the untouchable top 4. It's Mahomes, it's Lamar, it's Allen, and it's Burrow, right? First off, Burrow has injury limitations.
Look, Joel Embiid says, dude, get healthy.
Oh, no, the Bengals
Bengals
are the Sixers. I've said that a million times.
No, but he's telling – Joel Embiid's telling this guy to get healthy.
And then every other quarterback has limitations. So if I talk about Jalen Hurts' limitations, every other quarterback, 5 through 32, has limitations.
Would you take right now Lamar Jackson? If you had to give up more stuff, would you take Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, Lamar, Burrow, Allen, Mahomes.
See, I don't think Lamar's to me, is not a smart quarterback. Lamar to me, is not a smart quarterback.
I think he's a better quarterback, though.
I think he has a better overall skill set, correct.
Yeah.
But I do not think he is a smarter quarterback. So in that smart thing, it would frustrate me to watch him.
Sure, I would love it, though. It would be like watching a Madden game if I made
Burrow,
a trade.
Would you take the...
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
He's going to twist... you're not getting Joe Burrow for 17.
Sure. All 4 of those quarterbacks in make-believe land, yes, I would take.
Yeah, but the thing is, no. You can't do... No, if we're going to do this, if you're going to say, look, it's make-believe land that you would be getting one of those 4. So you got to take it into reality. You would take Joe Burrow and say a guy who's like, you're not getting him for a full season. He can't hold up.
Well, I would hopefully have an offensive line that can actually protect him, which that's not the case in Cincinnati. It's not. He's had a bad offensive line his entire career.
Yeah.
They had a third overall pick. They drafted a wide receiver. Really good one. But they drafted him.
You mean the guy he begged for?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
really,
guy.
Really good one.
They did that because of him. They let him do a Bryce Harper.
So the Hurts thing's going to be interesting because here's the other thing. Like, I'm going to go back and forth, even though I'm telling you my answer is no, I'm not doing it. We're talking about offensive coordinators now, right? Kevin Patullo just got fired on Tuesday or removed from the offensive coordinator position. He might still be with the Eagles. And there are talks about what the hell to do at offensive coordinator. Do you get a guy that is no longer looking to be a head coach so that he can just stay here? Because Jalen Hurts has not had that continuity when it comes to offensive coordinator. There's talks about, do you get a guy that can run Nick Sirianni's scheme? There's talks about, do you bring in a guy that works best for Jalen Hurts? There's talks about, do you even give a damn about any of that stuff and you just bring in the top offensive coordinator that's out there?
Yes.
That's my answer.
That is my answer also. I'm done catering to Jalen Hurts.
Exactly. So even though you and I are on the same
I'm
page
done catering
here,
to him.
I can't do another. All right, who's going to come in here that's going to hold Jalen's hand while also holding Nick's hand, right? Saying, Jalen, I'm going to do what's best for you. And yes, Nick, we're going to run your offense. Don't cry now. Like, it's almost like a parent for two kids. Like, you'll both get what you want. Don't worry, kiddos.
Well, first off, Nick Sirianni's offense. I'm so tired of hearing that term. Nick Sirianni doesn't have an offense. All he has is a thought. Nick Sirianni has as much of an offense as I do because he doesn't have a thought process or an implementation plan that he's ever been able to put into practice. So I could sit here and tell you what my offense is. My offense would be a lot of play-action passing.
Right.
My offense would absolutely be one that uses the run to set up the pass, but in certain situations would be the pass to set up the run. I love what a guy like Shanahan does. I like when guys spread teams out. I love when they throw out of passing formations. But
Jalen doesn't like that.
But he doesn't like it. Guess what? I'm tired of worrying about what Jalen likes.
Me too.
Is that you hire the best guy, and I don't give a flip about, and I do not want to go back to the future. I do not want a Frank Reich. I do not want anything like that where you go, you have to hire a guy that is just never going to leave because making Jalen comfortable. No. What you're doing is you're trying to maximize the best guy possible.
Now,
that is who you should be hiring.
Now, this is when things start to get interesting because you and I are on the exact same page there as well. It's a day. John and I are coming together today. We've been debating a lot recently.
A lot.
This is like the picture of the Bloods and the Crips putting their bandanas together. This is what's happening today. Josina Anderson, mentioned her yesterday. She's on the prowl right now getting some nuggets. Yeah. And I love this.
There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm not going to use it.
I love this latest report. A league source told her yesterday that the camps of the candidates that they are interviewing, by the way, she also mentioned top candidates, not like a guy that's candidates. Like Frank Reich. It's top candidates that they want to bring in here. These top candidates are asking, hey, it's going to be my offense, right? Complete autonomy is the word that was reported by Josina Anderson over the offense. Not we're going to do what Nick wants. It's my offense. Now and apparently the Eagles are saying, yeah, sure.
And guess what that means? That is exactly, here's the only danger in this. This is the word that was given to Kellen Moore. That is exactly the wording that was used when Kellen Moore came in here, that this was going to be Kellen Moore's offense. And then remember when Nick pushed back and goes, it's going to be our offense.
Right. Yeah.
And then you know what happened? I didn't get to see Kellen Moore's offense. So I don't believe the Eagles until they prove to me differently. I think the Eagles lie to me.
But maybe this time around they realize that his offense is starting to get figured out.
I can hope that they're not lying to me this time. But what I do know is they lied to me last time because they told me I was getting Kellen Moore's offense. What I saw this year is Kellen Moore took a guy off of like an Amazon truck and as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And with weapons and offensive linemen that the Eagles never had. And he designed an offense that was far more creative and far more interesting than the one that he won a Super Bowl with here in Philadelphia. I can only imagine what Kellen could have done with all that he had here He won a title. But what he could have done creatively, but he was asked to work on a straitjacket because of Nick Sirianni. And I got to tell you, I wonder what Kellen Moore could have done as the head coach here.
Or maybe he couldn't do some things because
Correct.
of the quarterback.
And that's why,
Maybe.
I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it.
Which is why today's conversation, it's going to be an uncomfortable one. 610-632-0975. Take logic out of it. Would you pick up Jalen Hurts, put him somewhere else, reach in the bag to get the next quarterback? Because all of a sudden it's finger pointing. Who's to blame? Who's to blame? Who's to blame? I think there's one person to blame. It's Kevin Patullo, or a number one person to blame. Hear what Dan Orlovsky thinks about Patullo. And what about an all-time Eagle pointing out an issue with Jalen Hurts that us little people have been talking about for a while, Johnny? 610-632-0975 is how you can climb aboard. It is Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. All right, FanDuel's turning on playoff mode. All customers get a profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Each game day during the divisional round, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you in the app. More boosts means even more ways to level up your playoff bets. Just pick the matchups that you believe in, take your shot on an upset, or build a parlay that fits the moment. I am not taking a shot on the upset with the game that I like most. Seattle 7-point favorites against San Francisco. I stayed away from that 10-point line for the Rams last week. I get weirded out by big lines in playoff games, especially like how the Eagles climbed up to 6, which was crazy. But I can't see the 49ers repeating what they just did. And Seattle's rested, and Seattle's the number one seed for a reason. And their defense, I don't think Brock Purdy can beat 2 straight defenses the way that he beat the Eagles. I don't think he can do that a second time without a George Kittle for the entire game. Apply your profit boost. Go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs keep rolling. So visit FanDuel.com/local and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. You got to be 21 plus. Present in Pennsylvania. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The East gets interesting. I'm Connor Thomas, and the NFC East may have got a lot more interesting overnight, as around midnight last night, Adam Schefter reporting that John Harbaugh and the New York Giants are expected to agree to a deal to make him their next head coach. Contract not fully signed yet, but that's something to certainly keep an eye on for Eagles fans. And as far as the Eagles are concerned, they're beginning their search for a new offensive coordinator. Yesterday, Adam Schefter joined us, and he talked about what the Eagles are looking for at OC.
I think I would look at all the guys who are on the interview circuit now. Most any of them with an offensive background that don't get a head coaching job, you immediately could put into the bucket of candidates. That would be, I would think, under consideration.
So it seems like the Eagles should cast a wide net. A lot of interesting names out there. We'll keep you updated. The Phillies had a big loss in free agency yesterday as Ranger Suarez signed a 5-year, $130 million deal with the Boston Red Sox. Rangers spent 8 years here in Philly, including closing out the pennant-winning game of the 2022 NLCS. The Sixers fell to the Cavs 133-107. Flyers lost 5-2 to the Buffalo Sabres. Sixers are off tonight. The Flyers face the Penguins at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. That game out in Pittsburgh. We'll talk to Andrew DeCecco from the 8 o'clock hour till the end of the show. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the Best Birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
at least most of the time. Now let's listen to more Kincade and Salciunas before I change my mind.
This hour of Kincade and Salciunas is presented by Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White, they're here for the pro.
So if you want to know how the Philadelphia Eagles brass feels about Nick Sirianni's offense, no matter who the offensive coordinator is, that quote that we read to you the other day, spring of 2023, before the 2023 season started, when Nick Sirianni was talking about, doesn't matter if it's Brian Johnson, Kevin Patullo, Big Dom, Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie. Doesn't matter who the play caller is. It's my offense. Now, his offense was good enough to win a Super Bowl in 2024 with a competent play caller at the helm.
You mean his offense or Kellen Moore being in charge?
Yeah, Kellen Moore being in charge, the collaboration
Kellen Moore being the adult.
Ideas.
The adult in the room was Kellen Moore.
Yeah. And, oh, by the way, their run game was so dominant that it didn't really matter. They were going to win anyway, and the Eagles won the Super Bowl. This past season, it goes to an incompetent offensive coordinator. Still Nick Sirianni's offense. I don't want to turn the ball over. I want to run hitch routes. I want to do like 2 or 3 plays over and over and over again, and the offense sucked all season long. So if anybody thinks that the Eagles brass is okay with Nick Sirianni's belief of offense,
I think that's done. I think that's done, right?
Yeah, Josina Anderson, we read you the report in the last segment that they are going after top candidates, and that those top candidates, their camps are asking for complete autonomy of the offense.
Before they're even going to interview, according to on 1 or 2 of the candidates, we're not interviewing unless that's the case. So we're not even going to waste our time.
Ian Rappaport yesterday, quote, I would expect them to maybe not go with something that Nick Sirianni has done before. A little bit of a clean break there. That's Ian Rappaport.
Get me excited.
That's the head guy at the NFL Network, Diana Rossini, also reporting. Brian Dable, Mike McDaniel, guys that the Eagles are going to bring in to interview, right? These are guys that are not going to come in here and say, yes, coach, we'll run hitch routes all game long. These are guys, and look, I'm not the biggest Mike McDaniel fan, but Mike McDaniel would not come here and run Nick's offense. Mike McDaniel's going to come here and try to run his offense.
And I will tell you that there are a lot of people who go, well, this is the only thing that Jalen Hurts can do in a passing game. You know, Nick Sirianni's just doing what Jalen Hurts can do. That is BS. You didn't watch SEC football.
Right.
Go watch Jalen in a passing game at Alabama. Go watch Jalen in a passing game at Oklahoma. He can do other things. It's what the head coach wants to do. And I hope that they stop listening to the head coach, who obviously does not have a real, let's just say, broad knowledge of offense.
No,
put it that way.
He doesn't. That's why he has not been able to fix anything.
He can't fix anything.
There's 2 seasons where they needed to fix something, and he didn't do it.
He couldn't do it.
I saw a great tweet from someone yesterday that got a lot of likes. I forget who put it out. I'm sorry. It was an Eagles fan, and I kind of completely agreed. Why didn't they change in the middle of the season if they were just going to fire him literally 2 days after the season ended? Did anyone think it was going to get better? Like,
because
now that we know how it played out,
because who would have taken over?
You try somebody.
No, Scott would have taken over.
Right, Scott Loeffler. That's the guy you would have tried.
He would have taken over, and by the way, he would have been better.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you. His resume's better.
Right.
His knowledge is better.
You weren't going to change the offense. It's just play. Look, there were once again multiple times in the game against the Niners where the play wasn't in.
Guy on social media sends me yesterday, Nick Sirianni, and the whole thing about where I say he's the pilot in the plane, that the plane's crashing, and he sits there and he goes, hey, anybody know how to fly this plane? He just sits there and drinks his Coke. Guy sends me yesterday, it's the George Costanza. He's when he lied to the girl about being a marine biologist.
Yeah.
Hey, is anybody a marine biologist?
Yeah, but you know what? At least George Costanza went out into the water.
Yeah.
And pulled the Titleist out of the blowhole of the whale.
Nick Sirianni, tried to do something.
Whether Nick Sirianni's lying or not, is still not going to do it.
Tried to do something.
So for anybody that is still saying Kevin Patullo is not the number one problem, because there are people still doing that. And you'll hear from one in a couple minutes here. Yesterday, Dan Orlovsky was on the Pat McAfee show. And Orlovsky just he went all in, and I appreciated it.
There is no question the starting point problem was Kevin Patullo. And simply put, this offense was everything that you don't want to or can't be in the NFL. They were unbelievably predictable. They were crazy simple. They didn't make adjustments. In fact, they did on a consistent basis the opposite. Teams adjusted versus the things that they would do in, the first couple of drives of the game, and they never had the counter punch ready. I think the other thing, and the most glaring thing, is everybody on this offense outside of Dallas Goedert got worse this year. A.J. Brown got worse. The offensive line got worse. Saquon Barkley got worse. Jalen Hurts got worse, significantly worse, many guys. And so Dallas Goedert led the team in touchdowns. And so, he improved his play. But to watch the lack of development for each individual player coming off of last year, that has to fall on Kevin Patullo.
This is why, Johnny, when people are doing the finger pointing, right, who's to blame? Is it more so the players? And you'll hear from Jason Kelce, who on Monday Night Countdown was yelling that it was the players' fault. When Dan Orlovsky talks about the adjustments, we talked about the second half numbers all season long, under 10 points per second half, which was one of the worst in the NFL. The other teams that were worse than the Eagles all were out of the playoffs, right? That's how bad it was. That's not players. That's coaching.
That's coaching.
If a team makes an adjustment, the coaching staff has to, as Dan Orlovsky said, have a counterpunch. It was 18 weeks of no counterpunches.
There was nothing.
And that's coaching. That's not Jalen Hurts. So when we have this conversation today about taking logic out of it, would you pluck Jalen Hurts out and put a different quarterback in, 610-632-0975? I still say no. Even though I said yes about the take logic out Nick Sirianni topic, I say no about Jalen Hurts because I saw him win with a competent offensive coordinator. That's coaching, not having counterpunches, not making adjustments. I can't put that on Jalen.
If you watched it, you've watched him at various times in his careers. When he has a competent offense coordinator in college or in the pros, he looks like a much different
He
quarterback.
wins.
When he has Brian Johnson, 2 creams, 1 sugar, and he has Kevin Patullo, and I don't even know someone asked me what nickname does he deserve. I said I don't even know that he gets one. I just, whatever he is, look, they saddled him with somebody, and you saw it, some of the Hard Knocks video. Jalen just looking at him.
Oh, he looks blank. Staring at him blank.
He looks at Kevin Patullo just like, dude, you have nothing to offer me.
Yeah.
You have nothing to offer me. I'm out here, and I'm taking the heat. I'm the quarterback of this team, and this is who Nick Sirianni saddled him with.
By the way,
his buddy. Hey, bro, we made it, baby.
Arm bar. By the way, taking the heat anonymously, too, from...
And I think that was absolutely an anonymous campaign from Kevin Patullo's camp. Hey, don't blame me.
Richard Sherman kind of exposed it with the text to Ryan Fitzpatrick.
How about Nick Foles' podcast sort of said the same thing?
Yeah, and how about Jason Kelce going out of his way Monday night to protect or defend Kevin Patullo?
Give me a break.
Then he gets fired, Patullo. So Jason Kelce, New Heights podcast, obviously they do a tremendous job. He and his brother Travis.
I really enjoy. You're not a big consumer of it.
I don't watch podcasts. I watch clips.
No, but you can listen to it.
Yeah, and I listen. I listen to the whole 6-minute clip that you sent. I listen to all that.
That's good.
Because Jason Kelce did a deep dive. It was like, floor's yours, right? He's more connected to the Eagles than Travis.
And Travis was in if you watch the video clip, Travis was in Grandma's kitchen.
Yeah, he chimed in a few times, but it was mainly the Jason Kelce show. So here's Jason Kelce talking about one of the problems of the Eagles offense that, even though I'm here today defending Jalen Hurts, us little people, us non-football guys, complained about this really all season long, and that's Jalen Hurts deciding all of a sudden to not run the football.
You have a quarterback that's not running as much. Jalen Hurts, the threat of him running the ball opens up so much for the running back when they have to truly respect it. And it also opens up things downfield. And I know everybody likes to talk about the predictability. And to be honest, yes, I would love to see more creative things. I love watching the trick plays. I love the trick play to McCaffrey was an awesome play, right? I like watching the creativeness. I would love to see more motions. I would love to see all that stuff.
So, yeah, he continued talking about the next offensive coordinator. But the point of the clip at the beginning when he's talking about Jalen Hurts needs to run the football, when we talk about limitations, there is a reason why he needs to run the football. Like Josh Allen, because that's for whatever reason the comparison that a lot of people make, even though I don't think they're the same quarterback. I think Josh Allen is the better quarterback. Jalen Hurts is obviously the better winner. I mean, just look at the playoff resumes, right?
I don't think there's any – I don't think there's – this is going to be terrible because people are going to hate it. I don't think there's anything that Jalen Hurts has won that Josh Allen wouldn't have won.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So to me, I think Josh Allen is just, I can just say Josh Allen's the better quarterback.
That's why he's in my 4 of
Yes.
the untouchables. Josh Allen has put his team on his back this year because they have Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman, who, by the way, was a healthy scratch like 4 times this year, and 2 disappointing tight ends in Dalton Kincade and Dawson Knox, guys that have not really taken their game to that next level.
The next
Right.
step that they wanted them to.
They play with a bunch of guys. Josh Allen has had to run the ball in order to succeed. But I will tell you right now that if they got real weapons, I don't think he'd have to run the ball in order for the offense to succeed. Right?
Correct.
Jalen Hurts needs to run the football in order to succeed. And if he's going to stop doing that, that will cause problems for the Eagles because he's not getting any taller anytime soon. He's not getting any bigger. Yeah, he could squat 600 pounds, but he's not getting any bigger anytime soon. He's not going to be able to see over the offensive line
This is
anytime
great
soon.
analysis on your part, by the way.
He hit his growth spurt, all right? And so Jalen Hurts needs to run the football. So, again, if you take logic out of it, would you remove Jalen Hurts from the quarterback position of the Eagles? I still say no. Coming up next, we'll check our text line for the first time this morning, 610-632-0975. Also, it's Daily Bow Watch, all right? There is a Baywatch channel. Did you know that?
On what?
On one of the
Really?
networks. Yeah. So we'll create a Bow Watch channel. The latest rumors on Bo Bichette and a Philly favorite is gone. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
The Fanatics, Andrew Dick.
Fanatic. It is 6:47 here on Kincade and Salciunas 97.5, the Fanatic. Take logic out of the conversation. Would you pluck Jalen Hurts out of the quarterback position of the Philadelphia Eagles? Logic and without logic, I still say Jalen Hurts is my quarterback.
He's my quarterback also.
And if they had a competent offensive coordinator, I don't think we're having these, at some points, insane conversations. Does he need to run the football? Absolutely. And I think that will be a problem if he does not. And I understand the older he gets, the less he will probably run the football. But they need to find an offensive coordinator that can get the most out of him and not what's best for him. There's a big difference there. I don't need an offensive. All right, hey, how are you going to make Jalen work? Like, no, I just want the best offensive coordinator, period. That's it.
Well, I love if Josina Anderson's reporting is correct, and then there's others that are now stepping in that top candidates are being assured that they will have the authority and the
complete autonomy was the word that she used,
and that they will have the authority to run their offense. That makes me feel really, really good.
That makes me feel great.
It really makes me
because
feel
it got stale. It was the same thing. It's been the same. Devontae Smith straight up said it himself. It's been the same thing for the last 4 years. And at some point, defenses will figure it out. Or if your ground game is not as elite, part of it being your offensive line, part of it being Jalen not being a threat to run, which lets teams zero in on Saquon Barkley, it's going to cause problems.
And I do not believe for a second anyone trying to say it's not Jalen who doesn't want to run. That also was being spun yesterday by some people as I was listening to the radio station yesterday at different times in the car. How do we know Jalen doesn't want to run? When it's this much data,
yeah, it's him.
It's Jalen. That he doesn't prefer. Not that he doesn't, it's that he doesn't prefer.
Right, he's protecting
I'm
his
tired
body.
of his preferences.
Yeah.
I don't care what his preferences are. I prefer that the Eagles run an offense that gives them a chance to win.
The fact that he didn't run in the playoffs was really disappointing.
It was terrible.
It was actually really disappointing.
No, it was terrible.
Really disappointing because we all thought, all right, playoff time, he'll start running the football because he really cares about winning. I'm not saying he doesn't care about winning, but why did he all of a sudden not run the football in the playoffs?
I saw guys who can't run. I saw Trevor Lawrence running.
Yeah.
And Trevor Lawrence runs like a giraffe out there. I saw him running, diving, doing things to try to get extra yards.
Whatever it takes.
To try to do it. Run the ball forward.
Yep.
As I said with Joe Burrow does stuff like that. You got to run.
All right, what do we got on the text line when it comes to this take logic out of the conversation? 610-632-0975, and then the latest edition of Bo Watch.
This texter checks in, says from purely a talent perspective, Jalen isn't a top 16 quarterback, but I wouldn't start with a new QB because for all his flaws, he doesn't lose games for us, and I've seen him perform when it matters.
Yeah, he doesn't lose games, but we have seen at times the lack of aggression. Now, whether that's him or Sirianni and what Sirianni wants be a reason why you may have lost the game. Jalen Hurts not throwing an interception does not mean he didn't lose the game. 3 and outs means you lost the game.
3 and outs. And by the way, you were the worst 3 and out team in the NFL.
Like,
that doesn't make you smart.
Giving teams the chance to come back in the game is losing games. Even though you're not throwing picks and fumbling the ball and playing hero ball like we saw with Carson Wentz, where it literally hurt the team, being overly safe, which has been a complaint of mine all season long, being overly safe, overly careful, so dependent on winning the turnover battle, which they won on Sunday, by the way, but they lost the game, that is also losing games.
And also, too, one thing here, too, is that how about throwaways by Jalen Hurts? How many do you think this year throwaways were to when he went to his right?
45.
No, percentage.
Oh.
Seriously, this is
when he went to his right.
When he went to his right to throw
80,
it away.
80%.
How about better than that? How about supposedly here 86%?
Wow, that's wild.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
Flush him to his right, he'll throw it away.
Connor, I'm disappointed in you.
What did I do?
You know, sometimes I need you to put the producer cap on here, man. We got to start playing the Baywatch theme during Bo Watch.
Okay.
I mean, it's becoming a thing here, at least in my mind.
Some people stay.
And John knows it. So I need you to pull the Baywatch open.
Yes.
Because we're going to do this again at 8:47. All right? So Bo Watch, I need the theme to Baywatch next time we do this.
All right, I got you.
All right. Bo Bichette, the latest. Let's just go to one of the top reporters. In my mind, he is the top reporter.
Who
or
is that?
insider, Jeff Passan.
Jeff Passan does a really good job.
John Heyman does a great job. I think a lot of it is he gets yes.
Fed, yes.
I do. Now look,
he earned that.
He earned that. He worked his way to that spot.
Yeah, but sometimes you're being really, really used.
I got you. Jeff Passan to me is numero uno. All right. Here was Jeff Passan yesterday talking about the latest on Bo Bichette.
Some have suggested that the Phillies are in the lead on Bo Bichette. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, but, teams are only in the lead insofar as they have the most money on the table. And I think the expectation is that the Phillies, at the end of the day, are going to be the highest bidders. They have reason to go after him, and they have a need, not just for like the right-handed complement to the Schwarber and the Harper, but also just to rejigger that clubhouse a little. Like, teams get stale sometimes. And Tim, if you look at what the Phillies have done going from the World Series to the NLCS to the Division Series and getting bounced in consecutive years, that incarnation of them couldn't get over the hump. And there are a lot worse ways to mix it up than by bringing in Bo Bichette, a guy who, whatever he plays, whether it's second base, third base, or even shortstop, he's going to hit, and he's going to be a productive batter.
All right, that's courtesy of Sportsnet. Thank you. Sportsnet in Canada, because obviously Bo Bichette, a Toronto Blue Jay, now a free agent. It's heading that direction. I don't know, Connor. You bet the propeller hat. Are you starting to feel like this is a possibility?
I mean, yeah, I'm feeling like it's more likely than what I originally thought.
Yes.
It's still more likely it doesn't happen.
Why?
Just because they're the first team at the table and the highest bidder doesn't mean there are a lot of other teams in, and the other teams that are in, like the Red Sox signed Ranger, maybe they're out now. The Dodgers, Yankees, Blue Jays getting him back. There's a lot of other money at the table that we haven't heard a word about, and I find it very hard to believe they're just ceding to the Phillies.
But here's one thing. The Phillies are the most desperate of those teams. They are. They need to change the way.
Why do you say that?
I don't know that that's true at all.
Why do you say
Tell
that?
me the Yankees aren't desperate right
Yeah,
now?
Yankees
okay,
aren't
sure.
desperate?
The Yankees are. You're right.
And after the Red Sox just lost out on Bregman,
But the Red Sox just acquired Ranger Suarez. By the way, we forgot
what
to
does
mention
that do for their lineup?
Well, 5 years, $130 million. I don't know how much more money they have so much money tied up in that pitching staff. By the way, Ranger Suarez again going to the Boston Red Sox. Miss him.
I had the
love that man.
You're too young to remember the Native American man who used to cry watching people pollute. I have the one tear going down my forehead. Right here. It's terrible.
Your tears go up?
Yeah, they're going up. It's going up because I'm shaking my head going, yeah, this pitching staff is going to be the reason this team doesn't reach expectations.
I'm just so thankful he didn't sign with the Mets.
Yeah, that's all I care about.
That's not going to keep me warm.
I would have had to have hated him.
That's not going to keep me warm as this team doesn't meet expectations.
Ranger Suarez now a member of the Boston Red Sox. Bo Bichette watch continues. Bo watch.
Some people stand in the darkness.
Dude, I'm feeling good about it. And you know what? My entire feelings toward the Phillies hinges on Bo Bichette.
That sounds healthy.
Really?
Yeah,
It sounds very reliable, too.
I'm so worried about this season if they don't have a spark. All right, coming up next, we'll get back to this Jalen Hurts discussion. Can everything that is said about him, both positive and negative, be true? I think it actually can be.
Now, that's interesting.
You'll hear why next. We'll check your text, 610-632-0975. And a side Phillies topic to kind of lighten the mood a little bit, I guess. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A new look for a division rival. I'm Connor Thomas, and the NFC East might have gotten more interesting overnight as around midnight last night, Adam Schefter reported that John Harbaugh and the New York Giants are expected to agree to a deal to make him their next head coach. Ink is not on parchment yet, but we will update you on that situation. Seems likely Harbaugh is coming to the NFC East. As far as the Eagles are concerned, they're beginning their search for their new offensive coordinator. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN joined Middays with Marks yesterday, talked about the stale nature of the offense this year under Kevin Patullo.
The word stale came up a little bit. That was a common theme. It's just the harmony with the offense. So the Kevin Patullo move was not a simple one for Nick Sirianni, but one that I'm guessing not only Sirianni but the front office felt like had to be made.
So who do you replace him with? We keep an eye on that as the offseason develops. The Phillies had a big loss in free agency yesterday as Ranger Suarez signed a 5-year, $130 million deal with the Boston Red Sox. Rangers spent 8 years here in Philly, including closing out the pennant-winning game of the 2022 NLCS. Sixers fell to the Cavs 133-107. They're off tonight. Flyers lost 5-2 to the Buffalo Sabres. They'll play the Penguins in Pittsburgh tonight at 7. You can hear that game live here on the Fanatic. Andrew DeCecco joins us from the 8 o'clock hour to the end of the show. This update's brought to you by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MADD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MADD-HELP or visit MADD.org. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The Fanatic.
It is 7 a.m. here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5. The Fanatic on this Thursday morning. Andrew DeCecco in studio with us for the final 2 hours of the program, so he'll come in around 8 o'clock this morning. Real quick side topic to open up, because today is take logic out of it day when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Would you take him out and put somebody else in as the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles? If you do, say yes, because I'm sure there are people that say yes. I see the debates on YouTube every single day.
But if they say it, they're more.
I wouldn't say morons.
Okay, no, I'm going to say it if they don't have it, say bring in this guy.
And that was going to be my follow-up question. If you are somebody that says take him out, who is the person that you're replacing him with? So your options are Tanner McKee,
who, by the way, have you not seen? Tanner McKee is not. Tanner McKee was available for every NFL general manager last offseason. Howie Roseman was open to talks before the draft last year. Nobody was calling for Tanner McKee to give anything of value. Every GM had a chance to go, man, he's a guy you want to grab. No one was calling.
So Tanner McKee, you trade for another team's backup. You mentioned like a Mac Jones.
Mac Jones Mac Jones is a guy that I could hear somebody going, that's an interesting guy.
Kirk Cousins, depending on how that situation unfolds in Atlanta. Right, like these are the guys. Justin Fields.
No, Kirk Cousins is going to get out of Atlanta. They've already made that. Matt is not keeping.
Or you're drafting a quarterback in a quarterback draft class that is not considered like some top quarterback draft class. And, oh, by the way, you're drafting him at the end of the first round. And, oh, by the way, we're talking about a window that's open right now. You're going to win it with a rookie quarterback?
Yeah, please stop.
So if you are somebody that says, I would take him out, put somebody else in, tell us why and try to give us an answer as to who. Because I think it's a lot easier to just say, yeah, I don't want him anymore. He's not my favorite quarterback. He isn't. But you have to have some logic in the conversation as to who you would replace him with.
Correct.
Now, before we get to what Sean Salisbury said yesterday about
he had a lot to say yesterday, did he not?
All the good and bad things said about Jalen Hurts might actually be true. I want to open up a side topic. I'm glad you said it to me this morning. I wrote it down yesterday as well. We're on the same page today, Johnny. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm kind of
sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not.
Kind of concerned for my own well-being.
Yeah, listen to you.
Last night, if you didn't want to watch the Sixers, right? You didn't want to watch them lose to the Cavs by $1 billion, or you didn't want to watch the Flyers lose to Buffalo 5-2. What a great day for Philadelphia sports yesterday.
Last night was a disgraceful performance by the Flyers.
Maybe you were more interested in getting some Phillies content yesterday. Because yesterday was the premiere of the 2025 Phillies video yearbook. I have to ask who watched it and why. I am anti-video yearbook of seasons that mean nothing to me.
Okay, well, what's the standard?
2022 getting to a World Series.
That was a great year. Now that's a great year to watch.
But
great story.
2023, that did nothing for me.
It was a horrible year to watch that.
Because it was a backtrack year. You went backwards and you lost, and it was a horrific loss. It's a loss that will pain me until the day I die.
Okay, good. I like that.
Losing in the first round of the playoffs, to me, does not mean video yearbook. Now, I feel bad saying this because we know what it takes to put that stuff together.
It takes a lot.
There were people that worked really hard on whatever, and I didn't watch a second of it. There were people that worked really hard on this yesterday.
I will tell you what little I watched of it. Very, very well done.
I'm sure.
I expect nothing less of the Phillies.
You know, people are putting a lot. They get paid, but there are people that put a lot of time. And the Phillies are such a great organization, not just baseball, obviously, but like with everything they do, content.
I expect nothing less.
The in-game experience. The Phillies are top-notch when it comes to all that kind of stuff. I will not watch a second of the 2025 video yearbook, much like I did not watch a second of the 2024 video yearbook, much like I did not watch a second of the 2023 video yearbook. Were there video yearbooks during the years they sucked?
Yeah, there used to have videos. Yeah, they had videos of, like, you can go back and see bad Phillies seasons. They would have these things. You used to see them during rain delays. Don't you remember watching these during rain delays?
The 93 one was aired a billion days.
Well, they still
does.
For whatever, NBC Sports Philadelphia still shows that all the time. All the time.
I refuse to watch this. And, I'm not apologizing about it, other than the person that worked really hard. And if they were like a friend of mine,
and you're saying though, I mean, and we know that the quality of the work is fantastic.
It's a complete waste of my time, and I would imagine it's a complete waste of anybody's time. But I'm sure there are people that wanted to watch it. There is nothing other than Kyle Schwarber hitting home runs that I want to relive of last year.
Who watched it here in our building? I bet you, unless he had a game or something to do last night, Ray Dunn watched it.
Yeah, I could see Ray watching it.
Our buddy Brendan Petrilli watched it.
For sure.
He probably was there, like, with popcorn.
Connor, would you check it out for Locked On Phillies podcast?
I'm going to have to watch some of it.
Connor, I would suggest that you sort of have to.
Yeah, but if I didn't have to, I would not watch it.
Yeah,
correct.
Like, what do you want to relive from this past year?
There's nothing, I can tell you, there's nothing worth reliving.
I don't know, man. The Sanchez stuff and his year was great. The Schwarber stuff was really cool. They had some cool moments in the regular season. If you're someone who could separate that and is just like, I want to remember stuff that was fun. Some people, listen, we're angsty because we talk about it 4 hours a day. Some people can just separate the good stuff.
Yeah, I can't. I can't do that. And so if you watched it, let us know why. And if you have not watched it yet and you're just hearing about it, are you going to watch it? Why? 610-632-0975.
I'd love to know, glutton for punishment. You're a glutton for punishment watching it, because there's nothing of value to last year. It's another step back.
Yeah,
it's another step back. But hey, it would have been better than watching or listening to the Flyers last night.
Yes,
because last night was
loss.
Terrible.
All right, real quick nugget before we play these clips from Sean Salisbury on Jalen Hurts Take Logic Out of It Day. Todd Monken, according to Ian Rappaport, a guy that we looked at as a potential offensive coordinator, is among the assistants expected to join John Harbaugh. So if you were asleep, like we all were, not dotted line signed yet, but John Harbaugh is fully expected to be the head coach of the New York Giants. And there was thought that Monken would not follow John Harbaugh.
Well, he was hedging his bets, obviously. He interviewed in Tampa yesterday. I'm really disappointed in that.
According to Ian Rappaport, Monken is expected to join John Harbaugh, which would mean as the offensive coordinator for the New York
Jackson Dart
Giants.
will learn from him.
Yeah.
That's a hell. I'm telling you, I'm not happy this morning.
That's a problem.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart will learn so much from him, and Todd Monken knows Jackson Dart from a little bit from SEC stuff.
Sure.
I'm not happy.
And, oh, by the way,
I'm really unhappy with what went down. The Giants are now officially a problem.
Yeah, because Joe Shane, even though he's kind of been their problem, he's not going to call much shots with Harbaugh. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like I would imagine Harbaugh's call majority of the shots.
Joe Shane still is going to have. They're saying he's still going to have significant say.
Do you think Harbaugh's going to that job to listen to Joe Shane?
Well, he did. Well, remember, Harbaugh did not have a ton of the GM.
Yeah, but he had a great GM.
But the GM was always powerful in Baltimore. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what the fact that Shane has a job.
I don't know how. I don't know how he is survived.
No, but that's why I'm saying to you is I don't know how powerful his relationship is with the owner.
Right.
I really don't. I mean, maybe it's more powerful than we think.
It's unbelievable. I mean, he became a joke. He was a laughing stock because of the hard knocks and the way he just like kicked Saquon Barkley to the curb. It was unbelievable.
And what Daniel Jones was shown to be when he got a competent team in front of him.
Yeah. Wild.
Not good.
All right. You take logic out. Would you remove Jalen Hurts from the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles? What do we got on the text line, Connor? It's 610-632-0975. And then we're going to play you some clips. We had Sean Salisbury on yesterday, former NFL quarterback, does a great job with just content everywhere. And he had so much to say about Jalen Hurts, and he almost told you everything that he does well and everything that he does bad, and then gave his opinion on Jalen Hurts. But what do we got on the text line?
Joe from Media checks in, says, absent of logic and common sense, I would absolutely move on from Hurts. If he refuses to run when needed and throw across the middle, then he does not do anything extremely well.
So then you know what he does really well? We've been in 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls. And who are you going to get me that is going to get me back to that kind of level that I know can get me there?
But I get what he's saying, though,
I do,
with the running.
I do. That's like saying you're married to Sydney Sweeney. And a guy goes, I know I can get a woman just as hot as Sydney Sweeney. You don't know that.
Right.
You don't. Unless you tell me I'm moving on to bang. You know, there it is. Who's next?
Right.
You know, I don't know that.
What else we got on the text line?
All right, we also have a check-in here. John V. says, no way I'm getting rid of Hurts. There's no reason Nick and the new OC can't cultivate an offense with more creative play designs, route trees, and play calls while considering the strengths of Jalen Hurts in this offense.
I love that.
Yeah. I'm just excited that if the reports are true, they don't care about what Nick wants anymore, and they don't care about what Jalen wants.
That would make me smile.
And that would make me really happy. All right, yesterday, Sean Salisbury, just former NFL quarterback, tremendous guy. He joined us. A lot to say. We asked him 3 questions, and it went like 12 minutes long. It was amazing. Let's start with something that has been said a lot. People use it to diminish what Jalen Hurts has been able to accomplish. I look at it like a lot of teams would, or a lot of quarterbacks would want what Jalen Hurts has and would thrive with what Jalen Hurts has. There is a reason why Josh Allen probably has not been able to win, and it's because of what's around Jalen Hurts. I think people that try to diminish, I think it's a little unfair because other quarterbacks would want it. Here was Sean Salisbury talking about how Jalen Hurts needs things to be great around him.
The quarterback, I still think there's some mechanical flaws that got to be better, yet he's a Texas guy. I love him. High football IQ, wins, usually plays really good in big moments, but I think Jalen Hurts has to have things going great around him for his game to be great. I mean, there's certain guys that can load, like when Favre or when Elway could load you on their back for a month, or we've seen Mahomes do it, Josh Allen, that even if everything else went to hell in a handbasket, they could survive it. For Jalen, I think the run game has to be going well. You have to mix in play action. You have to use his legs. He just can't sit back there and throw. And at the end of the game, when he bailed a couple times when he didn't need to, and the throw down the middle on the bender route that was thrown late, if he throws it on time, that ball is caught. And so the little small things they didn't detail enough this year that they're used to doing. They're not far away. I think they'll be fine, but there's things that need to get done if they're going to get back and playing in February again.
Now, here's the scary thing. It's not always going to be perfect around Jalen Hurts. So he says at the end of the clip, he led it back to the positive. Like, if he works on these little, finite, detailed things, they'll be back.
Well, he also said he loves the guy is what he led with. Like,
right.
He loves him.
He loves him.
He loves it. The Texas guy, the coach's son. There's so many things to like about Jalen Hurts. But there are these little things that it seems to be preferences.
Yeah.
A lot of preferences, like he has to be forced to do. I'm tired of hearing about what Jalen Hurts wants to do.
But I also worry, like, when we talk about things needing to be perfect, there's going to be a day when A.J. Brown is not on the Eagles anymore.
Oh, it's going to come.
Could be this calendar year, right?
Soon.
Could be June 2nd. A.J. Brown might not be a wide receiver on the Philadelphia Eagles anymore. The offensive line might not be elite. We saw it this year. How did Jalen play? Not well.
No.
There might be a day when Dallas Goedert, who's been like a blanket for Jalen recently, might not be here anymore. He's a free agent. He might get, who knows, he might get a deal somewhere unless the Eagles are saying, wow, we can't lose this guy. We're going to overpay. He's not always going to have the best offensive coordinator. Look at the 2 years where it was a disaster.
And I don't think we can say he has the best offensive line anymore or even one of them.
Right, and look at how he played. So when things are perfect, they've gone to 2 Super Bowls. I can't take that away from Jalen Hurts because he maximized what he had around him. But when he may not have the perfect situation around him, what are you going to get? That's a guy that has no skin in the game. That's just saying, look.
That's Sean Salisbury. He doesn't have an agenda. He doesn't. And by the way, he likes him
and he
a lot.
likes Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
But we're talking about perfect situations. Life ain't perfect, dude.
That is correct.
And Howie Roseman made it almost perfect for the Eagles. And you know what's going to have to be perfect soon? The defense's bank account. They're going to get paid soon. And unless you're hitting on wide receivers in the draft and linemen in the draft, which I believe the Eagles will do because they are good at it, but what if there's one guy that's just not perfect? Then what?
I consider right now the Eagles' offensive line to be like the Phillies' rotation. I have major red flags.
Right.
Major red
Could
flags.
be really good still, but you're also like...
I don't think the Eagles' offensive line is going to be great again. Very good? Yeah.
Not the way last year,
but
2024.
If you go great, very good, good, if you're doing those ratings, I don't think the Eagles are ever going to be the great offensive line again.
I mean, let's face it, 2024, we were comparing all-time lines.
Yes.
Right?
Well, 2022, they were great too.
Right, absolutely. And that was years ago.
I don't know that we're ever going back to that.
So then he continued talking about what we've been talking about for a while now. We've made a big point of mentioning it today, the running the football aspect of things. Here's Sean Salisbury.
Him using his feet has to be minimum 5 designed runs a game for him, minimum, and using his feet. Because he's not going to drop back in that same spot without changing his launch point and beat you throwing it 40 times a game regularly. That's not his game. It's okay. It doesn't make him bad. It's not his game. But he does win. And then you saw when they pressure or he had single coverage, he hits the 2 fellas outside for big plays with, Brown and Smith last year for touchdowns. And then their defense was putting them in good situations. It went well. I think when you have to turn it over and say, dude, we got to drop back and throw. I'm talking about consistently, not once in a while, and win. No quarterback really can get away with that. So for me, when things are going well, but when you have to say, dude, you got to go down, we got to throw. And he's not he's a physical kid and he's a smart kid, but he's not going to wow you with arm strength that Josh Allen or Matt Stafford have. But that can be overrated. 64% completion guy. You can live there because of the other things. But I think at times we get so caught up in structure and doing it this way that certain guys you just got to let step outside the box, and he's one of them.
It's why I go back to this tweet.
I love that.
The tweet that I saw the day the Eagles lost to the New York Giants, the really bad one on Thursday night, same day as Orion Kirkering's throw.
Yeah, that was great.
That guy from D.C., I forget his name already, and I apologize. But remember the guy from D.C., His son asked him, is Jalen Hurts a good quarterback?
And he said it took him like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was like a 15-minute explanation as to why he's a good quarterback but has all these flaws. And so when you hear Salisbury there, yeah, he's got to run the football to be effective. He doesn't have the arm strength, but he has this, and he can do this, and you can live with that.
Well, then that means that the incompetent offensive coordinator wasn't asking him to do the things that they know he's good at.
Exactly.
So that's bad coaching.
It absolutely.
And there's been a lot of it.
All year. All right, let's go to Derek in North Philly. Derek, you're on Kincade and Salciunas.
Yeah, I got a call, man. Because, listen, Hurts gets no respect at all. I hear y'all making excuses for Josh Allen already. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have that. But yet y'all try to hold Hurts to we had a diva on our team all year. The offensive line been banged up all year. He still gets no respect. He had 7 different offensive coordinators. Y'all saying he can't.
Can I just ask you? Look, I understand your frustration. You love Jalen. You probably have his jersey, and that's great.
No, I don't.
All right, but what have we said that's been disrespectful, Jalen Hurts? Again, I've laid it out.
We both are supporters.
I'm not moving on from Jalen Hurts. All right, Jalen Hurts needs to run the football.
No, this is what y'all saying that frustrates me. That they have to dumb down offensive schemes for him. If that's the case,
I've never said that. I don't want that. I've ripped Sirianni for doing that. I want them to bring in an offensive coordinator that has complete control and doesn't do the offense that Nick wants, which is don't turn the ball over.
We said the exact opposite of
Derek,
that.
Come on, man.
Derek, we've said Derek.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Listen. Stop talking then. We have said the exact. We've said the exact opposite. We want Jalen unleashed. We don't want Jalen in a straitjacket.
But what you just played to me, from what I heard, saying that he can't. Y'all, what about saying he can't throw across the middle? He can't throw the deep ball like that. Is insane.
Well, never said the deep ball. He does throw the deep ball. The over. Well, no, it's not always leaning with the negative. It's why there are limitations to his game. Do you believe that Jalen Hurts is the perfect quarterback?
I believe if they come up with plans that he can run, he will run them. Yeah.
All right. Do you believe he is the perfect quarterback? Is all I'm asking.
When you say perfect, define that.
All right. There are things in his game, just like everybody has in their life, that they're not great at. I'm not a great electrician, which is why I don't mess around with the electricity in my house. Right. But I can do other things. I can do other things. I can do plumbing work. I can paint. I can do other stuff in my house. Jalen Hurts does not throw the ball over the middle well. That does not mean he stinks. We're not saying he stinks. But there are things to his game that he's limited. And if he does not run the football, that's going to impact what he can do.
All right, real quick. I agree with him needing to run the football more. But how many design plays that they throw slants across the middle? You barely see receivers going across.
And that's where we agree with you. That's where Derek. That's where we're brothers in arms.
Oh, we literally have
we want that
coming up next. It's amazing how sometimes callers call in at the perfect time.
It is perfect.
Jason Kelce said something on his New Heights podcast yesterday.
I swear to you, I was on the Schuylkill. I almost went into the cement. It's not a guardrail. When I heard Jason Kelce say it.
And when we play it, Derek, I hope you'll still be listening, because you and I and John will be like,
what?
Brothers in arms here.
Yes.
It's okay to point out flaws of a quarterback and not come off and not be considered a hater.
Correct.
Anytime you say something negative slightly about Jalen Hurts, you're a hater.
I'm tired
of it.
I've never seen the quarterback of this town get treated with such kid gloves.
All right.
It's unbelievable.
The thing that we both heard yesterday that we were like, what? From Jason Kelce. Also, is A.J. Brown as good as gone? A lot of reports would tell you so. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
It's all about live betting. When you get the BetParx app, you can live bet pro football, college football, because you get the College Football National Championship, and more. And there's always another way to win when you get the BetParx online casino and sportsbook app. It's the one I recommend to you. BetParx has your favorite classic casino games, too, right on your phone. You can play blackjack, you can play craps and roulette, and hundreds of online slots like Huff and More Puff, Cash Eruption, Cleopatra, and more. Now, look, I go to the BetParx app for the sports betting. I love it. You can bet player performances. You can bet the college football championship game. You can bet pro football divisional playoff games. So get in right now. New users, get up to $1,000 in casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Check out betparx.com and get all the details. So whether your team scores or not, whether you want to bet a point spread or not, there's always other ways to win on the BetParx online casino and sportsbook app. Got to be 21, Pennsylvania, Jersey, or Michigan. Should you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Harbaugh and Giants close on a deal. I'm Connor Thomas in the NFC East. Might have gotten a lot more interesting overnight as around midnight last night, Adam Schefter reporting that John Harbaugh and the New York Giants are expected to agree to a deal to make him their next head coach. Not official yet, but seems to be heading that direction. As far as the Eagles are concerned, they're beginning their search for new offensive coordinator. Adam Schefter gave a thought about how the Eagles are going to evaluate the potential candidates.
I think I would look at all the guys who are on the interview circuit now. Most any of them with an offensive background that don't get a head coaching job, you immediately could put into the bucket of candidates. That would be, I would think, under consideration.
A lot of interesting stuff from him yesterday here on Kincade and Salciunas. We'll keep you updated on that offensive coordinator search. Phillies had a big loss in free agency yesterday. Ranger Suarez signing a 5-year, $130 million deal to go to the Boston Red Sox. Rangers spent 8 years here in Philly, including closing out the pennant-winning game of the 2022 NLCS. Sixers fell to the Cavs 133-107 last night. They're off tonight. Flyers lost 5-2 to the Buffalo Sabres. They'll face the Penguins in Pittsburgh tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Andrew DeCecco joins us from the 8 o'clock hour to the end of the show. This update's brought to you by the Positive Coaching Alliance. Questions about youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit organization, develops better athletes and better people through youth and high school sports. Info at positivecoach.org. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the Best Birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Back to Kincade and Salciunas. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
7 a.m. hours brought to you by the BetParks online casino and sportsbook app. Live bet sports on the BetParks app. Play all your favorite casino games. There's always another way to win on the BetParks online casino and sportsbook. Got to be 21 in Pennsylvania, Jersey, or Maryland. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It is 7:30 here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. I appreciate our caller, Derek, in the last segment, the back and forth. But the only thing that I get bothered by is when people make stuff up.
You guys said.
No, it did not say.
You guys think.
I'm all up for debate and all up for you. I say it all the time. I want people to have differing opinions because I think that's what makes sports talk radio its best. I also think it's great for trying to get society back together where you're allowed to actually disagree on items and like you and I, sports-wise, there are days where we could go 4 hours not agreeing with something, and then the show's over, and it's like, all right, man, have a good day.
Yeah, because you don't have to agree on sports.
There are people that get so upset if you say something that they don't agree with, and that's the way that society has become, and it's a shame, and hopefully it gets back to the way that it used to be. But ultimately, if you come on here and you say something that I didn't say, I'm gonna call you out on.
I am absolutely going to, and that's one thing that I will absolutely jump somebody on.
Now
I consider myself a big Jalen Hurts defender.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to also defend Jalen Hurts for stuff that I don't believe he's good at. But I think Jalen Hurts is a hell of a winner. I'm glad he's our quarterback, and I think when he's had competent offensive coordinators, he's been damn good.
Yeah, and by the way, notice I say limitations. I don't say sucks. Every quarter, there's a lot of quarterbacks with limitations, right? So when I talk about Jalen Hurts' limitations, the thing for me ultimately, how he could get past those limitations is by running the football. Oh, you mean the 2 years they went to the Super Bowl? And so that's where I stand my ground on. And if he starts running the football more, maybe that makes the offense kind of go back to where it was the two most successful seasons with him as the starting quarterback that led to 2 Super Bowl appearances and 1 Super Bowl victory. Now, I was thinking about this during the break because we're about to play some audio for you about A.J. Brown. Derek brought up the Josh Allen thing. Oh, you guys are making excuses for Josh Allen. I think it's legit reasoning why their passing attack has sucked this year when they have no weapons. Could Buffalo be a landing spot for A.J. Brown?
Could be.
They need a wide receiver.
Sandy says to me here on social media, and Sandy's a dude. Sandy says to me, he goes, John, you really believe that Josh Allen would have won anything in the NFL that Jalen Hurts has already won? And I said, 100%. Not 99%, 100%. I believe, is that a statement that's crazy?
No.
That if Josh Allen had everything that Jalen Hurts has had to work with, that Josh Allen would already have a couple Super Bowl berths and a Super Bowl championship? I don't think it is.
No, people just don't like the hypothetical. If this guy was here, then that would have
I get that, but the thing is that that's a different argument.
Right.
Then just say to me, I don't like that argument. But I don't think if somebody's going to tell me that they think that that's not true, I'm just going to politely disagree because I think Josh Allen does so many more things better than almost all the quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah. There's one thing he would not have, and that's a ring, and that's because he would have had to beat Patrick Mahomes to get it.
Sure.
He cannot do that for whatever reason.
He'd have
the Eagles defense.
He'd probably score 0 points.
Dude, that's not true, man. You're just wrong.
That's nonsense.
You're just wrong.
That's so dumb. That's so dumb.
Oh, my God.
That's so dumb.
Look at his numbers in those games. It's
absolutely dumb.
Don't blind yourself.
The Buffalo defense has killed him.
Anyways.
Twice at Arrowhead, too.
I think Connor's more right. Not about that nonsense. That's straight up wrong. It's embarrassingly wrong.
Really bad.
If the people that just don't like hearing it, right, then let's change it another way. Let's say it in a pro-Jalen way. I think if Jalen Hurts has Kyle Shanahan as his head coach, they have just as much success, if not more. The offense doesn't die like it did this year, like it did in 2023. So if you want it like a positive Jalen way, instead of this whole, what if Josh Allen was here? What if Joe Burrow was here? If Jalen Hurts had a Kyle Shanahan, if he had a Sean McVay, then maybe they would be even better. So I hope that evens out the playing field and people aren't as upset. All right. First, before we play the reports / speculation game about A.J. Brown being traded. Let's talk about Philadelphia Eagle A.J. Brown, because as it stands, he is still a Philadelphia Eagle, and he just played a season that was filled with drama and lots of fun.
Yesterday at the barbershop, let's just say there was a lot of discussion about A.J. Brown.
Okay.
He was the top discussion point of, and it was weird, it was from great appreciation to extreme frustration.
Right.
And the same people had the same opinions.
That he's really good.
Like just so frustrated with his behavior this year,
Right.
but so loving, absolutely
How
loving
talented he is.
A.J. Brown.
So take a listen to what Jason Kelce had to say about A.J. Brown and the Eagles' offense this season.
A.J. Brown on a slant route has been automatic for 4 years. It doesn't matter what you do. Like, it's like, how do you can't stop it. He's too big. He's too physical. This year, all that stuff just didn't work as well. It would probably behoove the Eagles to bring in somebody with a fresh perspective on where it's at currently.
What?
Did it not work or did they not do it?
What is he talking about? Now, look, Jason, you're awesome. But I mean, seriously, what are you talking about? Where were the slant routes to A.J. Brown? What? I don't know if he was in transit watching other games.
Could be.
Where were the slant routes? I want you to show me.
They ran it at times.
I would like a film study of all the slant routes they ran to A.J. Brown this year. Fans called every single week about it. Guys who covered the team talked about, where was it? The slant routes to A.J. Brown. What is he talking about?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it all that much.
It wasn't. No, let's put it this way. It was certainly not frequent, and it was absolutely, there were games where it was completely absent.
Yeah.
I have no idea what Jason Kelce's talking about.
But here's why. And again,
previous years, yes.
Jason Kelce.
This year,
let's be honest, Monday night
went
out of his way to defend Kevin Patullo. In the beginning of the New Heights podcast, he talked about his love for Kevin Patullo. It almost feels like,
I think it's great that everybody, you should want a friend. You should want somebody in your corner like Jason Kelce. He's a top-notch individual, top-notch person, and he's going to have your back.
Yeah.
But that's not what that job is for.
It almost sounded like it was a defend Patullo campaign.
Oh, my gosh. Are you kidding me?
And we've all said it. It wasn't 100% Patullo, but you can put number one blame on Patullo and acknowledge the fact that what Jason Kelce said actually didn't happen.
It didn't happen. The A.J. Brown slant routes, where were the A.J. Brown slant routes? I would like the A.J. Brown slant routes to be put on a reel and just to watch them and just take them back from the end of the season backwards. And I'd love to see it. Show me the ones from January and December and November. And I'm telling you.
People post his route tree every Monday.
Oh, my
and
gosh.
it wasn't there. So what about his future here? I'm getting to the point where it feels inevitable that he's
it does feel inevitable,
not here anymore. Let's start with Adam Schefter, who joined us yesterday for his weekly hit. Here he was talking about the future of A.J. Brown.
Well, I think he becomes a trade candidate here. There's been enough noise around that with him wanting out. There's been enough focus and attention in that area. Like, I think it would be a surprise if there weren't talks to see, okay, well, what could he bring back? To me, I see him playing in New England next year under Mike Vrabel. Like, that would make a lot of sense to me. So the Patriots have been in the market for a wide receiver for a while. Vrabel probably rued the day that they ever traded A.J. Brown. Different guy, but I could see the Patriots rolling the dice on a guy like that. I think that his name will come up. I expect it to come up in trade talks this offseason.
So that was Adam Schefter, like, very quickly. Yeah, I'm expecting it. He mentions New England. That's been the buzz for a while now. I just mentioned Buffalo. I doubt they'd want to go in conference, but like a team like Green Bay would probably benefit from having a real wide receiver because they have a bunch of guys. But we'll see where he ends up going. Jeremy Fowler then joined Middays with Marks yesterday and furthered the conversation.
I'll never speak in absolutes this time of year because a lot would have to happen. Do I suspect that he'll be a trade candidate? I do. You know, I've talked to multiple team executives that brought that up back in September. So that's not new for me. That's been on my radar for 4 months. But he's a very good player. He's on a short list of guys that can do certain things at the receiver position. He's still probably widely considered a top 10 receiver despite a down year. Those guys are hard to replace. And I think there's some psychology that goes into play. I don't think A.J. Brown is necessarily a malcontent. He has good relationships in the building too, from what I understand. And as I searched, I don't think there was a Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown blow up behind the scenes this year, or Nick Sirianni or Kevin Patullo, A.J. Brown blow up. I think they actually did a pretty good job at managing everything. And Brown, to his credit, kept working, kept to himself. He just had a hard time staying off social media in some cases, letting his emotions get the best of him on the field, yes. But I think they actually kept things respectable behind the scenes. It was probably a lot of internalizing, though. I mean, people are frustrated and, they keep to themselves, and then you have distance in relationships. But I don't sense there was I don't sense he was a malcontent behind the scenes in Philly. It's just there were some of these issues that kept popping up. The one the other day is one of how many, right? It's kind of a there we go again feeling when that happened in the San Fran game. And that is a problem. There's no doubt.
And here's the shame of it. There have been people that have pointed out effort, right? Last year, 2024 season, even during all the quote-unquote drama, it never carried in between the lines.
Never.
It almost felt like at times, I'm not saying all the time, where maybe AJ didn't like a play call. And then you saw it play out that way. And that's disappointing. All of this, the day he gets traded, I'll feel I'll be bummed out.
I will be extremely bummed.
I love A.J. Brown.
I will always be an A.J. Brown fan. I've bought very few jerseys in my life.
Yep.
And I have an A.J. Brown jersey.
Fowler saying there's people around the league still consider him a top 10 wide receiver. I'm
don't believe that.
I'm going to miss that.
That's based on reputation
sure.
only.
But I'm going to miss that, even if he's 15, even if it's 20. I'm going to miss that.
I'm going to miss A.J. Brown when he's gone. But A.J. Brown, make no mistake about it. If A.J. Brown's gone, it's a total A.J. Brown creation.
Sure.
That he's out of town. The Eagles had no intention of putting him out of town. It's all his antics. It's all his nonsense.
Yeah, look at the contract extension they gave him.
It's his nonsense.
Of course they weren't. They didn't have any intentions of it.
They showed him nothing but love.
All right, coming up next, we have today's headlines with Connor Thomas. But before that, a very interesting report just now about a free agent in Major League Baseball. And there could be trickle-down effects because of it. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
YouTube.com/97.5 The Fanatic Philadelphia. More of Kincade and Salciunas coming your way now.
We appreciate any way that you listen or watch the show. You can listen on the old-fashioned radio. You can listen on your smart speaker. You can watch the show on YouTube, and YouTube provides you the opportunity to comment throughout the course of the show. Philly 405 caught what we all caught. Did Jason Kelce use the word behoove in that last clip that we played?
He's stealing that? Is he stealing it?
Andrew DeCecco joins us for the entire 8 and 9 o'clock hours today. He is Mr. Behoove.
Okay, there's one of our listeners here, Andrew, says, who's not Andrew DeCecco, says, what was Jason Kelce watching? He says, I watch every single film study from all the guys who film study the Eagles all year long. What is he talking about with slant routes and A.J. Brown?
Yeah, I have no idea what he's talking about. I love you, Jason Kelce. I swear
to you, yesterday, I was right about a King of Prussia, where that crazy merge is to where people are merging on, where you're trying to get onto 202 and everything. Yeah. I swear to you, I almost hit the wall. I was like, what did he just say?
Yeah, when he said that, you and I had like a very similar reaction.
I'm like, what? What game are you watching?
Yeah.
He may be traveling, though, to get to Monday Night Football, may not be watching with the same passion.
He's a busy man.
All
right. Real quick before we get to today's headlines with Connor Thomas. So John Heyman, your favorite.
Well, wait a minute.
At 7:30, put out a report about not Bo Bichette.
Oh, wow.
But is there a trickle-down effect? Absolutely there is.
Who wrote this one? Go on.
Sources are saying that Kyle Tucker could be signed as early as today. Like the Kyle Tucker market is heating up.
Mets?
Ex-teammates of his believe he would prefer Toronto.
Oh, thank heavens.
Over an even bigger market like a Mets. So Toronto, of course, the former home of Bo Bichette, if they were to sign Kyle Tucker, I would imagine that takes them out of the Bo Bichette.
Well, he wasn't going back.
They were still in. As of yesterday, the reports
were considered behind.
Eagles?
No, Phillies,
Yankees,
Red Sox, Dodgers, and then Toronto. They were considered fifth on that list.
But that is a team that gets out of it. Now, my one concern with this, the Mets apparently offered Tucker a $50 million a year deal. If they miss out on Tucker, would they pivot? Would they try to get a Bo Bichette?
Why not? Like, why wouldn't they? I think I could see them jumping in.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, money talks. Money talks. But there is a trickle-down effect with that. All right. Time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with the Connor Thomas.
It's brought to us by Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com. I know you guys mentioned it earlier, but a rough night in Philadelphia sports last night. Sixers get smoked. Flyers get smoked. Any thoughts you haven't gotten out yet? The floor is yours.
I was so upset last night with the Flyers. I'll tell you, last night was an angry one. Because that was a poor performance. It was a really poor performance. It was poor tactically. I would say the first time this year that I'm going to use the word poor effort-wise. I was a little disgusted last night. And I said it a couple weeks ago and was taking grief from people. People were anointing this team as a playoff team way too early. And I kept warning people.
Can't wait for the double dip playoff action in April.
Yeah, guess
All right,
what?
you take the Flyers, I'll take the Sixers. That's disappointing because it's Cleveland. It's at home, and you're playing a team that you're very comparable to. Sixers are 22-17 now after the loss. Cavs 23-19. And the Cavs are a guard-heavy team, right? I know Jared Allen's a stud, but it's the Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland show, and they were able to run up and down that floor. And it's why they come out the gate with a 33-18 first quarter. The game was pretty much over after that. Sixers never were able to make that push. That's disappointing considering that's a team that you might face in the playoffs. And I know we're getting ahead of ourselves here because it's only January. But you had your squad yesterday. It's not like last night was an Andre Drummond day. That was the big three of Embiid and Maxey and Paul George, and they got spanked.
Yeah, perimeter defense is something they need to look at the trade deadline or the buyout market. Because
what else is new?
Yeah, well, it's just another year.
What year is it?
Here's what is new. College basketball starting to burst on the scene. We had some big-time moments last night. First, we'll start with Kentucky taking on LSU.
Long throw in, caught by Marino, the jumper,
This is a very conflicting moment for one Amy Fadul.
John, tell me what I said to you during the commercial break. Hand to God, did not know Connor was going to do that.
He was trying to say, should we call Amy about that shot?
Malachi Moreno receiving the ball, full throw to the free throw line, the Christian Laettner play.
It was literally the Laettner play, which once again, Amy Fadul on this show, I am not making this up, said that she would bring a shiv to Christian Laettner. She said that half jokingly, but I don't really know.
Out of the Palestra floor, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah,
like
she
that?
would have. She would have taken.
Or it was the Spectrum floor.
Yeah, she would have taken a piece of the Spectrum floor,
Made a
turned it
shiv.
into a shiv, and she would have said hello to Christian Laettner with it. Christian Laettner's play was run by her school en route to a win.
Yeah, you got to respect. Now it's the Malachi Moreno play.
I don't
Forever in Amy Fadul's mind.
I don't think so.
In Kentucky, it certainly is. And then we got a great play to end a little bit further of a final shot. SMU taking down Virginia Tech.
Edwards again to inbound. Last gasp for the Mustangs. Into Miller, defended by Hammond from half court. Oh, it goes!
Big time half court shot from the sideline by Boopy Miller. A great name.
Boopy. Yeah, I saw that video this morning. Great shot. I mean, I love that stuff.
Coolest thing about the video, you should check it out. The timing on the flames behind the basket was like as the shot goes in.
As soon as it went in. It's as if it was Johan Duran coming out down 4 in a playoff game.
Aren't they timed?
Well, no, someone's got to hit that button.
Yeah, no, because if you lose, you're not firing off the flames if you lose.
Oh, yeah, that is the truth.
We almost got a Marco Bellinelli situation.
Yeah, there you go. Well, then again, though,
you remember that?
They've been known to drop confetti at wrong times and stuff.
That was
it does happen.
That was horrible.
One more thing here on headlines, specifically for the Andrew Salciunas of the world. Maybe you're a high school football team or a football team you love didn't really have a great season. Here's a little bit of perspective for you.
3 years running.
High Point Central has suspended its varsity football program. Now, they're just a small high school from middle of nowhere, but the reason they suspended their varsity football program was in 2025, they were outscored 523-0 in their season.
Well,
and they just said, we're done.
So they just said the program's closed?
Yeah, they said, we're done. We're taking a year off at least, so it's suspended for now. It's not just gone, but they're going to skip a year, and I don't blame them.
So, what about the kids who want to play?
then they should have scored a point.
Really? You quit?
I don't know, man. 523-0. Sorry.
523-0's bad. Clearview in 2024-25, it was 346-13.
Like then that should that's a terrible message.
And
we're getting our asses kicked, and so now we're not going to play anymore.
Dude, that's not asses kicked. That's nuclear bomb.
No, it's called get better. Don't just quit.
I don't know how
Don't
you get
just
better
say,
from 523-0.
You're not going to get better by not playing.
They're not going to get worse.
That's terrible. You're taking your ball and you're going home?
Shout out the place. They're not taking their ball. The other team has the ball.
Yeah,
they're just going home.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
They get the ball in the kickoff.
That
that's
is
about
awful,
it.
man.
All right, coming up next, Andrew DeCecco in studio with us for the remainder of the show. We will bring up the take logic out of it conversation with Jalen Hurts with Andrew. And, of course, there's plenty to talk about with the open offensive coordinator position in Philadelphia. Andrew was on the air when the news broke. He actually broke it on Unfiltered for them. So plenty to talk about the new OC job as well. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Harbaugh heading to New York. I'm Connor Thomas, and the NFC East might have gotten more interesting overnight. As around midnight last night, Adam Schefter reported that John Harbaugh and the New York Giants are expected to agree to a deal to make him their next head coach. Division looking tougher, and the Eagles still looking for an OC. They're beginning their search, and Jeremy Fowler of ESPN joined Middays with Marks yesterday. He talked about the stale nature of the offense that needs to be fixed.
The word stale came up a little bit. That was a common theme. It's just the harmony with the offense. So the Kevin Patullo move was not a simple one for Nick Sirianni, but one that I'm guessing not only Sirianni but the front office felt like had to be made.
Well, those parties have to figure out who the next guy is. We'll keep you updated on their coaching search. Phillies had a big loss in free agency yesterday. Ranger Suarez signing a 5-year, $130 million deal with the Boston Red Sox. Rangers spent 8 years in Philadelphia, including closing out the pennant-winning game of the 2022 NLCS. He will be missed. Sixers fell to the Cavs 133-107 last night. They're off tonight. The Flyers lost 5 5-2 to the Buffalo Sabres. Flyers face the Penguins tonight in Pittsburgh, 7 p.m. puck drop. You can hear that game live right here on the Fanatic. Andrew DeCecco joins the guys coming up next. His reaction to Kevin Patullo being moved on from. Who's next at OC? A lot of great stuff to get into with DeCecco. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the Best Birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Talk 97.5 The Fanatic.
And it is 8 o'clock here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic, and it's a Thursday morning. So now until the end of the show, it's not just Kincade Salciunas. We welcome in our man Andrew DeCecco, who is not preparing for a flight to Chicago like a lot of us thought may have been the case until the Eagles lost in the first round to the San Francisco 49ers. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Still unpacking a lot.
Yeah.
I was excited for him to go to Chicago.
Yeah, I was excited for
I
him.
was telling him Sunday, I was so excited for him to see Chicago. Never happened.
And no, it didn't because the Eagles lost. So, Andrew, there's obviously a ton to get into when you have a season end like that. Even Adam Schefter yesterday when he joined us was like, I asked him about Jalen Phillips, just straight up, like, your thoughts on Jalen Phillips. And he's like, let's not even talk about Jalen Phillips. The way the Eagles operate after a loss like that, there's going to be a lot of changes, right? So there's going to be a lot to discuss this entire offseason. But what I want to do to start your part of the show is where we start at 6 o'clock. We're having a conversation about Jalen Hurts. So on Tuesday, we did a take logic out of it discussion about Nick Sirianni. Logically, you can't move on from Nick. You can't.
Right. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
And neither one of us want to.
Right. But if I took logic out of it, right, and I ignored culture building and I ignored all that kind of stuff, there is part of me that goes, damn, it would be really nice to have, like, Kevin Stefanski, who I know it would be his offense. He'd be calling the plays. There would, if something's not working, I think he's bright enough to change it. Whereas I don't think Nick Sirianni has that. When we talk about limitations to Jalen Hurts, there's limitations to Nick Sirianni. He was brought in to be this offensive mind, But when the offense doesn't work, he has not been able to say, all right, let's do this instead. Now, who do you want to blame? You could do whatever you want. But do you agree with that sentiment that when the offense has not been clicking, he has not been able to find the answers in 2 separate seasons?
No, I agree with that. But I would also say, and you see some of the reports out there, that the Eagles are almost being interviewed by the coordinator. They want full autonomy.
Right.
Now, it presents a tricky situation for someone like Nick Sirianni because he's an offensive-minded head coach, and then you would be asking your head coach to more or less be neutered.
And I'm welcoming it.
And I don't know how that dynamic would be sustainable for the future. So there's a lot of different dynamics at play.
Here's how the dynamic works. Hey, Nick, do you want your job? Yes or no? That's how the dynamic works.
Well, no, I mean they need full autonomy to really be able to put their spin on the offense and add some different spices that we haven't seen over the past couple of years. Because guys, the reality is, whether it was Saquon Barkley saying it or Devontae Smith saying it after the game, the scheme is the same as it's been. It hasn't changed. The names have changed. Kellen Moore came in and tried to implement some of his different things, but after 4 weeks and the turnovers mounted and things like that, they reverted right back to the way that it was. So, yes, I think they need whoever it is needs full autonomy to be able to really put their mark on this offense.
Does that put more credence into the question of what is it you do around here to Nick Sirianni when you compare him to other head coaches? I sat there yesterday and was trying to compare it to other head coaches around the NFL and how many of them do control one side of the ball.
Right.
Or do that, and saying if some offensive coordinator is giving great autonomy, like Vic Fangio is giving great autonomy on defense, that question does become a little more valid of like what he does do.
And while I say that the next coordinator needs full autonomy, I do recognize that it is an awkward dynamic if you have a CEO, offensive-minded head coach, and now you're not having any input on the offense. I don't think that's a great way to do business. But I think maybe it's more so a growing opportunity for Nick Sirianni to be willing to be adaptable and hear different, perspectives on the direction of the offense and really buying into it. I'm not saying he won't, but I think that could be a good opportunity for him as well, because to just expect a head coach to be hands-off in that area, I don't know if that's realistic either.
I hope he welcomes it, Andrew. So that
did you believe he would?
After the way this season went, and I think Nick is someone who has proven that he'll kind of go with the flow and do whatever's needed. And I think, yes, I do believe that he would be adaptable, especially this time around after it didn't work with Kellen Moore and they brought in an outside. We heard the fresh concepts, outside voices when they brought him in, and it was much of the same. I think now you maybe have a different vantage point.
Yeah, he'd be open to it because he wants to keep his job as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
And to me, that's like the red flags and the sirens are going off that, like, do you have the right guy? I'm really going to watch 2026 close.
Sure, absolutely. So we did that conversation on Tuesday. Today we're doing it the same thing, but Jalen Hurts, where you take logic out of it, right? Because logically, what are you going to do, right? Like you move, starting Tanner McKee. Are you trading for Mac Jones, Kirk Cousins?
Absolutely not.
Are you drafting a quarterback at 23 when you have all these other issues? And is the quarterback class even all that good? My answer is no.
Not going to happen.
So we're trying to take the logic out of it, and it's more the emotional feel, right? Would you want to see a different quarterback at the helm of this offense? That's our question at 610-632-0975. My answer is still no. I like other quarterbacks more than Jalen Hurts. I don't shy away from saying that. I've been consistent with my message about Jalen Hurts that I think he has limitations to his game. I think a lot of quarterbacks have limitations to their game. His limitations still led you to 2 Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. If we're talking about limitations, my God, his limitations must not be that bad if he's gotten to 2 Super Bowls and he won a Super Bowl MVP, right? So I look at Jalen Hurts and I go, yeah, there's flaws to his game, but when he is at his best, and clearly when he has his best offensive coordinators with him, the guy is going to succeed. But I also understand why anybody would say, man, I'd rather have a big-bodied quarterback that can just chuck it all over the field. How many times have we had the conversation of, could you imagine if this quarterback was in this offense, how it would look, how Josh Allen would look, how Matthew Stafford would look, how would these guys look? So when you think about Jalen Hurts, do you ever have the intrigue in your back of your mind of how this would look if it was somebody else?
And to your point, that there may be other franchises, fans of other franchises that wishes that they had Jalen Hurts.
Absolutely,
because he can do things that some of their quarterbacks probably can't. And you love the cerebral nature that he has, the mental toughness, the winning DNA.
That.
And because of all that, I don't know why you would want another quarterback here. He's won a lot of games, and he's been really successful. And when you have someone that is a proven winner at the NFL at every level, and they have I think beyond that, the work ethic and the willingness to take their game further. Why would you ever want to make a swap out? Why would you want to make an adjustment there at that position? I think he is the quarterback. Now, the question is, they need to find a compatible offensive coordinator that can help evolve the offense and advance Jalen Hurts' game, because he's 28 years old now, and I think there are certain coordinators out there right now that fit the bill for that. Now, is that a Mike McDaniel? Well, I mean, that's a West Coast-style offense and a Kyle Shanahan-based offense. So it's timing-based, it's rhythm, and I don't know that would necessarily be the best fit based off of what Philadelphia has liked to do in the past. And for all the things we commend Jalen Hurts for, getting the ball out on time, it's things that he's done, but consistently, I don't know that we can say that.
And they're running the ball thing's a big part of it, too.
I watched a little long feature yesterday from Chicago about Ben Johnson and how Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams literally were butting heads, and big-time butting heads when he got there. Mm-hmm. And how Caleb Williams wasn't comfortable with what Ben Johnson wanted him to do, and a lot of it running an offense from under center.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Johnson was just like, I don't care. You need to get comfortable. This is what I'm comfortable with. And sort of along the lines of reportedly, I got the contract here, and I'm the boss, and I've been brought in here to make you great.
Yeah, this is what we're doing kind of thing.
I want that same thing for Jalen Hurts, despite Jalen's resume. I want someone to say to Jalen, I'm here to make you great, and not to say, like, what do you prefer, Jalen? What do you like? Because Ben Johnson got him to where now, I mean, Caleb Williams looks like a guy that I never thought he could be, like what I'm seeing. And
very impressive first year for him.
Do you think there's a new level to Jalen Hurts? Do you think there are levels of Jalen Hurts that could get back to 2022?
I think that there's still levels of his game that can improve. I don't know if you're going to see a drastic improvement. I mean, he's played at a pretty high level, career high in touchdown passes this year. But you're getting a little bit older. He's going into, I believe, his 7th season. As a starting quarterback, he's already going to be 28, and that's not an old age. But you don't often see players all of a sudden hit another level in a tangible way when they reach a certain age. But yeah, John, I'm with you. You would like to see a coach come in, whoever that may be, and say, I want you to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and really push his limits to the point where you're trying to expand his game. You want him to be the best version of himself and not necessarily having limitations on the offense. And I think if you open things up like that with the players that they have, they're going to be well served for it.
And it's why the conversation's so interesting, right? Because there are a lot of people that are like upset with the topic today, because you have the people that love Jalen Hurts unconditionally, right? And when you bring up his limitations, he has limitations even when he runs the football. When he's not running the football, it's going to add to the limitations for Jalen Hurts, because defenses don't have to worry about him not running the football. Then there's the people that just go over the top with their hatred for Jalen Hurts. But when we ask you, who are you replacing him with, there is no answer. There's no good answer to replace Jalen Hurts right now. So it's a conversation that's become very interesting. Yesterday, we had Sean Salisbury on, former NFL quarterback, does a great job, all over radio, and he's got his own show on YouTube. This was Sean Salisbury talking about Jalen Hurts needing to run the ball more, but then just continue to listen to the clip, because it kind of paints the picture of everything that Jalen Hurts is.
Him using his feet has to be minimum 5 designed runs a game for him, minimum, and using his feet, because he's not going to drop back in that same spot without changing his launch point and beat you throwing it 40 times a game regularly. That's not his game. It's okay. It doesn't make him bad. It's not his game. But he does win. And then you saw when they pressure or he had single coverage, he hits the two fellas outside for big plays with, Brown and Smith last year for touchdowns. And then their defense was putting them in good situations. It went well. I think when you have to turn it over and say, dude, we got to drop back and throw. I'm talking about consistently, not once in a while, and win. No quarterback really can get away with that. So for me, when things are going well, but when you have to say, dude, you got to go down, we got to throw. And he's not he's a physical kid and he's a smart kid, but he's not going to wow you with arm strength that Josh Allen or Matt Stafford have. But that can be overrated. 64% completion guy. You can live there because of the other things. But I think at times we get so caught up in structure and doing it this way that certain guys you just got to let step outside the box, and he's one of them.
It basically paints the picture of what he does well, what he doesn't do well. His limitations have led to 2 Super Bowls. He's won a Super Bowl. But I guarantee you there's somebody out there going, yeah, but those limitations could be reasons why they don't win more.
No, I think now you're here. Based off of what we know, you now hear, well, what does he know anyway? What does Sean Salisbury know anyway?
Right, of course.
But had he been completely lauding everything that an Eagles player does, all of a sudden it's like, yes. Did you hear what he said? Pull that clip.
Right.
But it's objective analysis, and it sounds a lot like what I've been saying, which is why they play a certain style, and while also acknowledging Jalen's ability to elevate the offense and do certain things that other quarterbacks can't. Now, you brought up something interesting, Andrew. Earlier, you started talking about the running ability. And Jalen Hurts, I believe it was a couple years ago, mentioned that he views himself as a triple threat. Arm, legs, and mind. But if you take away the running aspect, you are severely depriving the offense of a component that makes it special.
Yeah.
And so they need to figure out what style he wants to play, because if you're taking that part away or you're reducing it to a significant level and you're not equipped, or it's not ideal to have you drop back 35 times and throw the football week in and week out, what can the next coordinator expect?
Now, you just said the word once, that he wants to play. Did you mean that, or did you mean that you think that the offensive coordinator, the style of play that he would buy into? Because if he's going to be, if they literally have to go through an offensive coordinator search and literally be holding his hand and be like, we can't hire one of the best guys in the game because Jalen may not be comfortable with something, then I could potentially be talked into this isn't going to work long term.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to have to be some concessions on both sides. And I think you could see a marrying of previous iterations of the offense, or the iteration of the offense, coupled with them bringing in their own concepts and their own scheme and trying to find a healthy balance there. But, I mean, this is for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense to really hit that next gear. They have to be willing to step outside their comfort zone and try different things.
It's why I could talk about Jalen Hurts every day, because
he's fascinating.
He's fascinating. He wins. He does good things. There are things that I wish he would do better. There are quarterbacks in the league that in a heartbeat I would take over him. And yet he's
not many.
Not many. I have the 4.
Make sure you say that right. Exactly.
And yet he's accomplished more than some of those guys that I would take in a heartbeat. It's why he's such an amazing person to talk about.
And to be clear, we're not saying that he's not going to be willing, or that the offense or anyone's not going to be willing to change, because to Jalen's credit, all season long he's been accountable, and his end of year press conference, he expressed, unsurprisingly, a willingness to do whatever it takes. So I believe that he will take a look at himself. I believe players like Saquon Barkley, Jordan Mailata, all of those leaders that the Eagles have, they're going to take a look inward first and figure out what they need to do individually to help move this thing in the right direction. And that starts with getting the play caller in here and allowing them to put their fingerprints on the offense in a tangible way.
There is one thing I would like to see him do a hell of a lot better. And you, as somebody who is there all the time, can tell me whether you believe it's valid criticism or not. Watching the Hard Knocks, watching Mic'd Up. Anytime they're mic'd up, I love to watch all those. I watch him too many times, the interactions when they show interactions on the sideline with Nick Sirianni or interactions on the sideline with a coaching staff member. He's quiet. He hears something, and then he has nothing to say in response. The other day, when the 4th down call, they call a timeout. They know what defense they're in. So it comes down. They know what defense that San Francisco's in. And the coaches are talking, and he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
He doesn't offer his, wait a minute.
Yeah,
that play call sucks, guys.
No,
I believe Peyton Manning. I believe Tom Brady. I believe the greatest quarterbacks of all time would go. I believe that Patrick Mahomes would say, what are we doing? That's not a good play call.
No, I hear what you're saying, and his back was towards the camera, right? So we don't know what the dialogue was. So that's the risky part of a lot of these folks on social media who post these clips or cherry pick things, because without context, it's kind of meaningless in my estimation.
Okay.
All right, Connor, what do we got on the text line? That's been our main topic today. Take logic out of it. What would you do with Jalen Hurts as the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles? If you are somebody that's saying you would look elsewhere, what is the elsewhere? Because that is a key component of it. You can't just say, get rid of him. And then it's like, all right, well, now what? Like, what? Now what? 610-632-0975. What do we got?
This texter says if you say yes to that question, or any people who do say yes need their head examined. Absolutely not. But if he declines in the next few years, then probably. But we're not there yet.
Yeah, like I don't think it's
that is fair.
I don't think it's needing head examined. Like I have certain preferences. Like I prefer in baseball, I prefer a right-handed power bat than Max Kepler. That was a preference of mine.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I do prefer a quarterback that has a stronger arm. I do. Like Matthew Stafford, I prefer that arm strength. Okay? Jalen Hurts has accomplished more than some of those types of quarterbacks. He has accomplished more than Josh Allen. So I can't take that away from Jalen Hurts, but I think that's a very natural thing to have.
I will part ways with you on there and say I want their head examined. If someone wants him gone now, I want their head examined because they cannot give me an alternative that allows me to say in 2026
I agree.
The Eagles can rebound and go win a Super Bowl.
Right. For those who are of that belief, which I imagine is few and far between, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, like saying Tanner McKee.
Name any quarterback, whoever your favorite quarterback is, Jalen Hurts likely has exceeded and has a more robust resume in terms of winning.
What else we got on the text line, Connor?
All right, we also have a check-in here. This texter, you guys aren't going to like this one. I will pack his bags and drive him to the airport. I think if he's not willing to use his legs, then he's just basic. See you, Jalen.
Now, you see, if that was true, and I don't believe it's necessarily true, I could agree. Andrew, do you believe he won't use his legs? Do you believe
No, but he does seem a little bit more reluctant. And when you've said before that you'll do whatever it takes for, to win the game, well, in the postseason, you had 14 yards rushing. Now, one of his rushes got taken off the board with a Cam Jurgens penalty, but those are the type of games where you would like to see a quarterback like that who has the ability to change a game with his legs do whatever it takes.
Yeah, I mean,
and I understand in the regular season, I think it was more of an organizational focus. Let's get Jalen to the playoffs because he's been banged up for several Decembers, and I think that was more of a preventive measure. But in the postseason, it's all systems go, and even at that moment, he was a little reluctant to do it. So it's a fair question going into the offseason. Is that going to be a part of his game that's going to see a reduction?
Let's go back to our elementary school days. Show of hands. Who thought Jalen was going to run the ball more in the first playoff game?
Me.
Yeah. I thought there were going to be more design runs in the game plan
they
also.
didn't.
That was all hands for anyone listening on the radio.
And there was not. Yes, that's the truth.
Not great for an audio.
No, I'm asking people that were driving, too, to raise their hand.
Please don't.
I'm sure they all did. Coming up next, Andrew, you were on the air when the Patullo news dropped. Now that you've had some time to think about it, who are Andrew DeCecco's top candidates for the Eagles' offensive coordinator job? And what does he think about what's being reported? Are we done with the Sirianni offense? That and one update of the coaching candidates for offensive coordinator, because it looks like one guy's off the boards. Kincade Salciunas, Andrew with us, 97.5, The Fanatic. All right. FanDuel Sportsbook is turning on playoff mode. All customers get a profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Each game day during the divisional round, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you in the app. More boosts means even more ways to level up your playoff bets. Pick the matchups you believe in. Take your shot on an upset. Build a parlay that fits the moment. However you want to do it, you can. I like Seattle to cover the 7 against San Francisco. I like the Rams to go on the road and beat the Bears. One thing I would look at, though, is maybe a Matthew Stafford interception, because the Chicago Bears are a team that can turn the football over, and Matt Stafford has not been afraid to throw the football in some tight windows. So check that out as well. Apply your profit boost. Go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs keep rolling. Just visit FanDuel.com/local and grab your profit boost pack every NFL game day. You got to be 21 plus, present in Pennsylvania. Opt-in required. Bonus issued is non-trouble profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Eagles casting a wide net. I'm Connor Thomas, and, well, we're looking at a wide net being cast by the Birds going after their new offensive coordinator, or at least according to what we've heard from Adam Schefter. He joined us yesterday on Kincade Salciunas and talked about what the potential replacement for Kevin Patullo at OC could look like.
I think I would look at all the guys who are on the interview circuit now. Most any of them with an offensive background that don't get a head coaching job. You immediately could put into the bucket of candidates. That would be, I would think, under consideration.
So a lot of names could fill those requirements. We'll see who the Eagles go after. We know who the Giants went after, according to Adam Schefter, you just heard. Late last night, John Harbaugh and the New York Giants are expected to agree to a deal to make him their next head coach, and that would make the division even tougher. So we'll keep you updated on everything going on with the NFL offseason going for the Birds. The Phillies had a big loss in free agency yesterday. Ranger Suarez signed a 5-year, $130 million deal with the Boston Red Sox. Spent 8 years in Philadelphia, including closing out the pennant-winning game of the 22 NLCS. Sixers fell to the Cavs 133-107. They're off tonight. Flyers lost 5-2 to the Buffalo Sabres. They'll play the Penguins tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on the Fanatic. This update's brought to you by the Positive Coaching Alliance. Questions about youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit organization, develops better athletes and better people through youth and high school sports. Info at positivecoach.org. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Wow, Sean Rodman just told us something that is totally real. We're not making it up, even though nobody will believe us. Shout out to Christina.
It's not my wife.
Not your
she
wife.
doesn't listen.
Christina called in, said, I didn't want to go on the air. Just want to thank the morning show because I learned so much listening. That was a real story unless Sean Rodman made it up.
But
And
why
he's
is
just trying
she
to pump us.
But why is she learning? That makes the story even better. She's learning because then she can have conversations with her boyfriend.
I love that.
About what he loves.
I love that.
Hey,
Sean Rodman definitely just said that. I was here.
You saw you.
Marry that girl. Whoever the guy is, marry her. She cares about what you care about. Marry her.
We're Chat GPT for the females of the Delaware Valley. Just like for you, if you need sports talk points for your significant other, we got you.
I would like YouTube to respond to that phone call that she learns from us immediately. 2 quick responses. MBD, did Christina suffer a head injury? Renee wants to know if Christina is drunk. So
that's terrible.
Look,
such kind folks there.
It's nice to get a compliment every once in a while. Not that anybody listening to the show is going to believe that story actually happened.
I think that that's fantastic for Christina's boyfriend.
Hell yeah, man.
That is a woman who cares about the guy she's with, and I hope he is just as generous as far as caring about things that she's into. That's awesome. That's a relationship that'll work.
By the way, have you seen the renderings of what the new Commander Stadium may look like?
It's going to look beautiful.
It looks beautiful.
You never went to RFK, though?
No, I did not. It looks massive. Everything's getting bigger.
It's hard. It's hard to be worse than what they just had. Northwest Stadium, FedEx Field before that.
Everything's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger in football, man.
People, Eagles fans who of your generation, you guys never went to RFK, are going to love it because you are going to literally take the train from 30th Street or wherever you get on, take it right down to D.C., get off at the station, and you will be able to get to the stadium real quickly. It'll be an easy Amtrak to go to Eagles games.
That's nice.
When you go down there. It's awesome. It's going to be fantastic.
Especially the traffic leaving.
It's fantastic. You're going to be able to have a great time.
That sounds nice. All right, so, Andrew, you were on the air when the news broke on Tuesday that Kevin Patullo was removed from the offensive coordinator position. First, before we talk about candidates and the reports on some of the candidates, curious to get your opinion on him being removed from offensive coordinator but potentially still being a part of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, that would be tough. If I were Kevin, I wouldn't want to do that. I would make a phone call to some of the coaches that you've worked with over the years, like Shane Steichen or Kellen Moore, and see if there's a senior position that you can undertake, because it's just an awkward dynamic when you held such a role of prominence and then you're taking on a reduced role and now just still working underneath somebody. I don't know. I probably wouldn't. I don't know if that's tenable.
I used this example yesterday. We had a member of the station years ago that was an everyday voice on the station, and they were removed from the show that they were working on. They were told, but we would still love to work on the weekends. And not that, look, weekends is important, right? That's
Sure.
where I got my start. That's where a lot of us got our starts. But that person was like, I for my own pride's sake, I can't do that. And I totally understood why that person made that decision.
Did they have
right?
something else without going off?
They eventually got something else, yes. They did not have anything lined up at that time. But they were like, I can't go from being a main part to, yeah, sure, I'll do weekends. Kevin Patullo going from offensive coordinator to back to pass game coordinator. And if he has input, I get it. They're all professionals, and there is probably a level of respect. But there's also all right, Kev, thanks, man, thanks for your input. Well, let's turn to the offensive coordinator.
But, that would be a little bit strange. But what I can tell you guys is that Kevin Patullo is highly respected in that building.
Sure. Yeah. And Nick loves him. Now, you mentioned it when you first joined us, but just to remind people in case they have not heard the reports yet, Josina Anderson and many others have started to, mention it as well, that The Eagles are going after the top candidates for offensive coordinator. So they're not looking for, like, all right, who's the guy that's in the weeds that nobody's talking about, which is what the Eagles have done at head coach, right, with Sirianni and Peterson and Reed. But they're doing this about the offensive coordinator. They want to get one of the top guys, and the reporting that Josina Anderson did is complete autonomy. That's the word that she used, that the camps of these coordinators, I love how you said it, that the camps are interviewing the Eagles. It's not the Eagles are interviewing the coordinators. It's the reverse, because the candidates want to know, all right, am I coming in with my ideas, or do I have to do what Nick wants? Do I have to do what Jalen needs? Or am I allowed to bring my offense? So what do you make of that first before we talk about the candidates?
Yeah, I think that's important. You have to be able to be able, before you're able to be all in on something, you need to know what are the guidelines here. Are we able to take the guardrails down? Can I implement the offense through my vision, or will I have restrictions? Because you saw the highs where Kellen Moore and the Eagles offense, they were fourth worst passing offense in the NFL that year, but they still were able to do enough to win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. But you also saw those put in that position that lost their jobs because the offense wasn't able to be rescued. And if you're playing a certain style, it really you have two hands tied behind your back. So I think it's important to get those guidelines out of the way when you're sitting there before you're able to really move forward.
When you look at all the years of Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator in the NFL, or even as a head coach this year, and you look at his passing offenses, the year he wins the Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator is the aberration as far as his passing offense.
Oh, yeah, it was.
He always has great passing offenses except that one year. So does somebody who is a Jalen Hurts detractor as far as his ability to be a passer maybe have some ammunition there?
Perhaps. And then you have the other question, guys, that I've seen kicked around over the last few days. Is it an attractive job? And I'll answer on that. There's two ways of looking at it. It's a high-profile job. You play a lot of primetime games. There's a lot of rich history here at the Philadelphia Eagles. And two coordinators have advanced their careers from having been in that role. You also have a quarterback who, cerebral, you have the intangibles, and he has a winning DNA. Now, the other way of looking at it is you have to wonder about the health status of the offensive line. Is Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, how are they coming back? How are they returning? What's their health status like? A.J. Brown, is he in Philadelphia? Is he coming back? Is he staying or not? Will you be able to run your own offense? Will you have full autonomy? Those are questions, if you're looking at both sides of the coin, that I think are fair. But I say all that to say that all that taken into consideration, I do believe that it is a desirable position if you're able to have full control over, the offense.
All right, give us your top three candidates that you think that you would want to be the offense coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. And in case people did not hear it while we were all asleep, hopefully, John Harbaugh has not signed the dotted line yet, but John Harbaugh seemingly heading to the New York Giants, according to like 6,000 reporters, that Harbaugh will be the next head coach of the New York Giants. And it broke during the show that Todd Monken is expected to go with him. So Monken has been a name that a lot of people have talked about because it makes sense. Mobile quarterback in Lamar Jackson, run-heavy offense with Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, right? Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So you take him off the list. Who are three names that you would say that makes sense?
Yeah, Todd Monken would have been my top choice, but it doesn't seem likely given the news that we've seen this morning.
Yeah, it looks like he's gone.
And so I would say Brian Daboll should be a name that's up there. Very good at developing quarterbacks. He's worked with Josh Allen. He worked with Jalen Hurts at Alabama. Now, I know some folks may say, well, Jalen Hurts got benched that year in 2017. Well, that wasn't Brian Daboll. Nick Saban makes those decisions.
And he got benched in the title game.
Right.
He got benched in the title game.
Yeah, and Nick Saban makes those decisions anyway. But I look at his history there. 2022, I believe he was the coach of the year. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of positives that he brings. Now, he can also be a little abrasive.
Uh-huh.
So that's something to also take into account. But I think when you look at all the different coaches, it's tough because if you get an up-and-coming coach who has desires to be a head coach once again, you run the risk of the continuity piece, right? But if you bring someone in like a Greg Roman, who I'm going to get to in a moment, who's 53 years old, he's from Ventnor, New Jersey, that's someone who might make a little bit of sense. But I think to go back to my first point here, Brian Daboll would probably be my first choice. The second choice, I don't think it's likely, but it would be Mike McDaniel. There's obviously going to be interest there, but his style of offense is such a stark contrast to what the Eagles have done, and I don't know if that would be ideal for Jalen Hurts. It's West Coast, it's timing-based. Now, he is a very good run designer, and his pass concepts are advanced, but the ball has to get out quickly. You have to be, timing is paramount and things like that.
I think he's destined for Detroit, unless he gets a head coaching job.
But I also think because there's so many head coaching jobs available that he would be a desirable head coach. So I don't know. So that's the other part of why I don't think that's as realistic. And then you have Greg Roman, who's worked with Justin Herbert. He's worked with Lamar Jackson. He's worked with Colin Kaepernick. He's been in a million different offenses. He's adaptable, and he's the kind of coach that if you're looking for continuity, much like they have on the defensive side with Vic Fangio, I don't know that you're worried about a team poaching him for a head coaching interview, and you're also getting someone who has a storied resume in terms of play calling.
That's insight and perspective that you need to hear, Johnny.
One gentleman does ask me on Twitter, he goes, are you okay with what Andrew Pacheco said that the new offensive coordinator would have to give concessions to Jalen Hurts as far as that? That's not misquoting you, right?
Yeah, I said
okay.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? I really don't. I don't want them to be literally. I don't want them to say, Jalen, sit in a room, shut up, listen. But I don't.
But you kind of said that earlier.
But concessions, I don't want there to be. How about this? I don't want there to be major concessions. Would that be where you would lay, or where would it be?
I think there should be concessions. He's your starting quarterback.
But the thing is, then you can get back into the same boat that you've been in.
You could, but you also have to have guidelines.
Okay.
This is the structure of what I want to do, but I also want to hear your perspective on what would you like to see change. You've been in this offense for a number of years. How can we take this to the next level? And you have more of a collaborative type of dialogue.
If you have questions for Andrew DeCecco, start sending them in. We will do questions for DeCecco at 9:10 this morning. So obviously not about an upcoming game because the season's over, but there's a big off season ahead for the Eagles. Text them in now, 610-632-0975. And we have another edition of Bo Watch coming your way next here on The Fanatic.
The Fanatic's Andrew DeCecco, Inside the Birds' Jeff Mosher, and ESPN's Tim McManus. The best Eagles minds in the city. ESPN.com.
Let me tell you something. I may give them a hard time, but they're really not that bad. At least most of the time. Now let's listen to more Kincade and Salciunas before I change my mind.
It is Kincade and Salciunas with Andrew DeCecco. Questions for DeCecco come your way at 910. Text them in 610-632-0975. State of the Eagles. He'll talk about it with you. But real quick before we get back to our Eagles, State of the Phillies. We are on Bow Watch. Please hit it. Thank you. We're on Bow Watch, Andrew.
This sounds like Miami Vice intro or something like that.
It's Baywatch.
All right.
But we're on Bow Watch because Bo Bichette, everything keeps on pointing to potentially the Phillies signing Bo Bichette. My excitement of the Phillies 2026 season hinges on the signing of Bo Bichette. If they don't do it, I'm going to be a miserable SOB. You guys think I suck during the Eagles season since the month of November? Yeah, if Bo Bichette signs elsewhere, I'm going to suck starting now about the Philadelphia Phillies. But before we give you the latest on Bichette, because Jeff Passan spoke about it yesterday, something that was mentioned on MLB Network.
Okay.
JT Realmuto was indeed offered the amount of years that you and I never wanted. JT Realmuto was offered a 3-year contract in which he said no to.
35 years old, right?
Yep. Now, I don't know if it was the money that he said no to. We just know that there was a 3-year deal offered to JT Realmuto, and he said no.
Or he wanted to see what else was out there, and he just wasn't going to jump at the first deal that was offered.
Sure. Now the time's gone on. That's why we've seen this change of direction toward Bo Bichette. There is a world where you could get both. It's not impossible. I don't think it will happen, but it's not impossible. The reason why, obviously the first domino to fall would be Bichette. JT Realmuto does not have a market.
It appears he does not. Well, how about this? He does not have a robust market.
The market that he expects, probably.
A bunch of people that are kicking tires on JT Realmuto. There's a bunch of teams that have kicked tires that have not made offers.
Right. And so I think he screwed himself over.
Yeah.
Like you said, 35 years old. You got offered a 3-year deal, guaranteed money at 35 years old as a catcher. I would jump on that in a heartbeat.
I feel like when the spring training gets a little closer, you're going to hear his name tied to more teams because that's when you become a little bit more desperate if you want to be in a camp and have an opportunity to get rolling.
Yesterday was 1 month to pitchers and catchers reporting. So we are under a month away from pitchers and catchers reporting for the Phillies in spring training. It might be different for other teams. And they don't have a starting catcher right now. Well, it would be Rafael Marchand or Garrett Stubbs. And that's not going to happen. If they don't get JT Realmuto, they'll get a Carantini. They'll get some sort of journeyman, somebody that they can, put in there to for the time being, right?
Until they find another guy.
Yeah, Sal Fasano will be available. Todd Pratt.
Andrew Salciunas.
Hey, I can still get behind the dish. I won't be able to hit for you guys, but I'll get behind the dish. So JT Realmuto, there is still a world where both could be a possibility. Here was Jeff Passan on Sportsnet, which is like the number one sports station in Canada. Obviously, Bo Bichette played for the Toronto Blue Jays. Here's Passan talking about Bichette.
Some have suggested that the Phillies are in the lead on Bo Bichette. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, but, teams are only in the lead insofar as they have the most money on the table. And I think the expectation is that the Phillies, at the end of the day, are going to be the highest bidders. They have reason to go after him, and they have a need, not just for like the right-handed complement to the Schwarber and the Harper, but also just to rejigger that clubhouse a little. Like, teams get stale sometimes. And Tim, if you look at what the Phillies have done going from the World Series to the NLCS to the Division Series and getting bounced in consecutive years, that incarnation of them couldn't get over the hump. And there are a lot worse ways to mix it up than by bringing in Bo Bichette, a guy who, whatever he plays, whether it's second base, third base, or even shortstop, he's going to hit, and he's going to be a productive bat.
I need it to happen.
Yeah, you've totally bought into. No,
I'm totally. And if they don't have it, I'll be disappointed because this team's not going to win anything. Like I will be miserable if they don't acquire Bo Bichette. And look, if he sucks, I egg on my face. But all I'm saying is, right now, he's a guy that's going to hit the baseball from the right side, which they don't have. We're hoping on a resurgence from Adolis Garcia. Stop me if you've heard that before.
I think
Max
this pitching.
Kepler last year.
I actually think this pitching staff's going to drive you more crazy. But I mean, you're going to be.
You just got to win 9-8, John. You just got to win 9-8 every night. It's not going to be that bad, but it's concerning. I get you.
It just is. I have major concerns about this team.
Me too.
Major concerns.
Bo Bichette will make me feel better.
People are just like
people wondering on YouTube where would he play? I would imagine third base.
He's a terrible. He's a below average defensive shortstop.
Right.
So, do you want him at third?
I'd rather him at third than second. People are saying put him at second base. I have a potential Gold Glove second baseman already in Bryson Stott.
But are you going to have and you're going to have the platoon at second, right? We're both in. We are both.
Yeah.
We are both in on. We want the platoon.
Yeah, and Sosa's good defensively.
We want the platoon at second.
Your weakest defender in the infield is Alec Boehm right now. No matter what you think about Trey Turner, it's still Alec Boehm.
You have a subpar left side of the infield if you have Trey Turner and Bo Bichette.
But one led the National League in batting average, and the other one could.
They just both have to hit. They both have to hit 300.
You're gonna have to win 9-8 then.
That's all. Hey, I'm for it.
Oh boy.
All right, coming up next.
Oh boy.
Questions for DeCecco comes your way at 9:10. We'll get back to this Hurts topic. If you take logic out, would you make a change? We've played you some clips from Sean Salisbury. Hear what he had to say about Jalen Hurts when it comes to the perfect situation. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A coaching update in division. I'm Connor Thomas in the NFC East. Might have gotten a lot more interesting overnight. As around midnight last night, Adam Schefter reporting John Harbaugh and the New York Giants are expected to agree to a deal to make him their next head coach. Makes the division tougher, at least if you believe Harbaugh can turn that organization around. As far as the Eagles are concerned, they need their offense turned around. Who could do it for offensive coordinator? Well, first you got to see what the main issues were. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN joined Middays with Marks yesterday, talked about the stale nature.
The word stale came up a little bit. That was a common theme. It's just the harmony with the offense. So the Jimmy Patullo move was not a simple one for Nick Sirianni, but one that I'm guessing not only Sirianni but the front office felt like had to be made.
Well, now they have to make the replacement move. We'll keep you updated on what the search looks like. The Phillies had a big loss in free agency yesterday. Ranger Suarez signing a 5-year, $130 million deal with the Boston Red Sox. Rangers spent 8 years in Philly, including closing out the pennant-winning game of the 22 NLCS. So he's going to be missed. Sixers fell to the Cavs 133-107 last night. They're off tonight. Flyers lost 5-2 to the Buffalo Sabres. They'll play the Penguins in Pittsburgh tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. This update is brought to you by Temple Men's Basketball. Be there as the Owls defend home court on Sunday, January 18th at the Liacouras Center, hosting Florida Atlantic in a key American Conference matchup. Tickets at owlstix.com. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the Best Birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
these guys. Make sure you tune in Middays with Marks. You guessed it, with me, John Marks. That's coming up at 10 o'clock. Let's get back to more of Kincade and Salciunas right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. What did Sean...
today on Kincade and Salciunas.
We did the exact same topic Tuesday with Sirianni. We're doing that topic today now about Jalen Hurts. If you take logic out of the conversation and you're just leading with emotion, would you remove Jalen Hurts? Just simply pick him up. This is exactly what I said about the Sirianni conversation. Pick him up, put him over here, reach into the bag, find somebody else. Because here's the logic. There's nobody else. What are you going to do, move on from Jalen Hurts?
No.
And what, pick up Justin Fields from the Jets?
No, are you going to go...
You're going to trade for Kirk Cousins from the Falcons?
Mac Jones?
Mac Jones.
I'm trying to think of quarterbacks that could be available in a trade.
So if you keep logic in the conversation, there is nobody else.
And in other words, welcome to the rebuild. There's no quarterback who could sustain what the Eagles have done and bring in here.
And that's why my answer is no. I'm not doing it.
And that's easily why my answer is no. Because there's nobody you could suggest to go, well, we're going to go to college and grab this guy.
Right.
Because where the Eagles draft 23, I believe.
Yep, it was 23rd overall.
First of all, I'm not disgusted enough in Jalen Hurts.
He won the Super Bowl MVP 11 months ago.
I have too much respect for Jalen Hurts.
Now back to the show.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, especially after the Eagles season ended the way that it did on Sunday, that pointed the finger to Jalen Hurts first. Our YouTube chat, I love it. There is a terminology that's been used, Jalenites. Like the over-the-top pro Jalen Hurts people are considered Jalenites. And then there's the people that just like straight up don't like Jalen. Those are the ones that termed it Jalenites, by the way. If you were to be able to pick up Jalen Hurts, remove him from the equation, and put a different quarterback in, tell us yes or no. And if you say yes, then what is it that you're looking for? Because you do then have to add the logic into that part of the conversation. Who is it that you're going to replace Jalen Hurts with? Now, it leads to a great conversation because Jalen Hurts is not the perfect quarterback, right? Jalen Hurts has limitations. And if Jalen Hurts is not going to run the football, that concerns me. We saw how it played out this season. It was a problem with the team this year. And if he goes back to it, and maybe they have an offensive coordinator that is competent, maybe they go back to being this team that you say, this is a team that's going to the Super Bowl, and you're not relying on your defense for 18 games, right? You're saying that the offense can win you a football game here and there. But one really interesting talking point that is used to diminish Jalen Hurts for some people, but then there's people that realize, yeah, a lot of quarterbacks would like to have the perfect situation, is the great offensive coordinator, great weapons, great offensive line. This was Sean Salisbury. We're going to play cut one here, Connor. He joined us yesterday, former NFL quarterback who loves Jalen. He made it very clear. I love Jalen Hurts, but he talked about things needing to be right around him.
The quarterback, I still think there's some mechanical flaws that got to be better. Yet he's a Texas guy. I love him. High football IQ. Wins, usually plays really good in big moments, but I think Jalen Hurts has to have things going great around him for his game to be great. I mean, there's certain guys that can load, like when Favre or when Elway could load you on their back for a month, or we've seen Mahomes do it, Josh Allen, that even if everything else went to hell in a handbasket, they could survive it. For Jalen, I think the run game has to be going well. You have to mix in play action. You have to use his legs. He just can't sit back there and throw. And at the end of the game, when he bailed a couple times when he didn't need to, and the throw down the middle on the bender route that was thrown late, if he throws it on time, that ball is caught. And so the little small things they didn't detail enough this year that they're used to doing. They're not far away. I think they'll be fine, but there's things that need to get done if they're going to get back and playing in February again.
So what makes this conversation interesting, Andrew, is I don't disagree with anything that Sean said, right? Like, there needs to be a lot of good things around Jalen in order to succeed, and that was good enough to get to 2 Super Bowls, win a Super Bowl, and he was the best player on the field in both those games, right? He won Super Bowl MVP. He was definitely better than Patrick Mahomes in the year that they lost. But what if the situation isn't perfect? It's not going to be always.
No.
And you've seen 2 first-round exits, a collapse in 2023. At one point, we were talking about 2023 this year during that 3-game losing streak. So you hear him talk about he's not a guy that can carry you, which is something that I've been saying all season long, and people take offense to it. Your thoughts on Jalen Hurts needing the perfect situation or close to a perfect situation?
Well, I think based off of the data that we have, I think that that's kind of fair to say, because you look at when the Eagles have lost, it's been when things haven't been exactly ideal, whether there's players who are injured, banged up, or, turnovers, penalties, whatever the case is. And when everybody's at full strength, the offense is humming more often than not, and it's not really a topic of conversation. So I think there's, based off of what we know and what we have to go off of, I think that's kind of fair. But I've also seen him be able to maneuver around, even this season, career high in touchdown passes while having an offensive line that was really banged up. Now, they did a nice job from a pass protection standpoint, but in terms of run blocking, not so much.
But did you think he had a good season? No,
I don't.
Neither did I.
I don't think he had a good season.
Here's what I'd like to ask, though, of anybody who says, the idea that Jalen needs things to be perfect.
And they get offended by it.
Who are the quarterbacks that are the great quarterbacks that have had great seasons that have done it with absolute crap?
Nobody.
I could hang up and listen. No. And people go, Tom Brady won with crap. No, he did not.
He had the greatest tight end.
Did not. No, he did not. And he never played with crappy offensive lines. So, no, he did not. He did get away with some mediocre wide receivers.
Absolutely.
But then you look at someone like Josh Allen, and they don't have a ton there.
And that's an explanation.
And people get offended when I say it.
But they shouldn't be offended, because this is what's happening. It's right in front of your face. He went out there last weekend. Can anyone name his two of his wide receivers?
Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Shavers, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox,
Gabe Davis.
And Gabe Davis is back for a second stint.
It's amazing.
It's a bunch of people. It's what I point out about.
It's just names.
What do I point out about the Packers? Jordan Love is a bunch of guys. Like, I like Jaden Reed, but he's a guy. Romeo Doubs is a guy. Christian Watson, when healthy, is a guy. They drafted Matthew Gold in the first round. He wasn't really anything spectacular this year. Quarterbacks benefit from having good things around them. I don't know why people get so upset when they hear that.
And now the counterpoint, what someone will say to you is, well, an offensive there's not much they can do to atone for a play caller who is X, Y, Z. But when there are plays to be made on the field, and I had this conversation the other day with Sean Landetta, and he said, as a former player, I'm telling you that there are plays to be made on the field. It should be players first, win or loss. Players first. They're the ones who are out there. And when you have such a high-octane offense like the Eagles have, there shouldn't be as many lulls as there are. I mean, it just shouldn't be. It just shouldn't happen. Josh Allen, and I'm sure there's other quarterbacks that we're not thinking of right now, have been able to maximize the players who are at their disposal. Heck, you go to Donovan McNabb.
Yeah, right.
I mean, yes, the offensive line was very good, but how many times have we heard a lot of, I think unfair, whether they want to call James Thrash, a certain name, Todd Pinkston, a certain name, Freddie Mitchell, a certain name. Donovan McNabb made the most of his playmakers.
Those names, I believe, was James Trash and Todd Stinks.
We are
real creative, real creative, real sophomore.
And Andrew and I are both huge McNabb.
Yeah, McNabb's my favorite.
McNabb's my favorite
quarterback.
But we've seen a quarterback in this city be able to do that. So we're taking that off of what Sean Salisbury had to say, and we're just pointing out different examples here. But I think it is relevant. I don't know if it's entirely fair what he said, but there are a lot of moments that we've seen that you could certainly point to.
Who's going to be the first? Anybody? I'm not saying Eagle fan, because I get how a fan can act. Like, look, literally on Tuesday, I was illogical, Andrew, saying I would prefer a different head coach, even though my logic tells me not to do that. We all have those moments. Who's the first person that covers the Eagles or something that points out everything that Matthew Stafford had to work with if he wins?
Come on.
Somebody will. Somebody's going to be like,
yes.
Well, I mean, look, he had Devontae Adams.
Yeah, it won't be me.
He had Puka Nacua, and he has Sean McVay, and I'll be like, yeah. And, yeah.
But people will say, Matt Stafford's just the greatest.
Right, and people will say that, too.
Matt Stafford's the greatest.
I love Matthew Stafford.
He's a tremendous quarterback.
But let's not act like he has not benefited from having what's around him.
But they won't lead with all the greatness that he has had to work with. They won't lead with that. It'll just be that Matt's great. And Matt is great.
He's great.
Well, some will, but some will say, yeah, but look at, he had Devontae Adams, he had Puka Nacua, he had Colby Parkinson, he had Blake Corum and Kylan Williams and all that.
It's amazing. All right, real quick before we get to questions for the Checo, I have a question for Connor.
What's up?
You missed the conversation during the commercial break. Would you value a friend's opinion or an expert's opinion more?
Wow, you got to tell me the topic.
Yeah, it depends on the topic.
No,
It's
period. I find about a movie.
Friends. Dude, movie experts, biggest crock of crap out there.
Thank you. Yeah, thank
and
you.
you know what?
I know,
Connor.
I know in this scenario it's relevant.
Thank you, Connor.
I agree with you. So, Andrew DeCecco, we were talking about something during the break, and you brought up a movie that I've never heard of in my life. 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag.
Oh, I'd watch that.
Joe Pesci.
I'd definitely watch that now.
When I tell you, I've never heard
of
that
it either.
mentioned ever. The only duffel bag I know is what I pack when I go on Philly sports trips. That's the only duffel bag I know.
I'd seek it out now.
Look, it's an easy watch. You can throw it on in the background. It's a 1997 dark comedy, and I like anything.
I love dark comedy.
David Spade's in it.
Oh, yeah.
Dark comedy. I'm watching.
All right.
Yeah, movie experts are like,
guess the Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm going to say like a 12 or something.
16%.
7.
You know why, though?
7% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Cinematically, it just doesn't have the same. I don't give a flip about.
I just want to be entertained.
Like what you like.
I just want to be entertained.
Correct. Like what you like.
Yeah, like Billy Madison got a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes.
The lighting of the scenes is totally not cinematically nice.
All right. It is with some football music. Johnny and I, we get to put our feet up. Time now for questions for DeCecco. What do we got?
All right, we'll lead off here with a question from Tommy Reardon, who wants to know, if the Eagles do choose to move on from A.J. and ignore the cap ramifications, does it make re-signing Dallas Goedert more of a priority for the team?
What's up, Tommy? Yeah, I would assume so. And even without that, because Dallas Goedert is 31 years old. And so it's not easy right now to envision a team being willing to fork over something significant, knowing that it probably would require more years for that. I think knowing what his value is to the Philadelphia Eagles, and in particularly Jalen Hurts, they have a connection that I talked about last summer that obviously correlated into regular season success.
Football guys,
because he's a middle of the field option, and depending on what the next coordinator wants, Dallas Goedert. I mean, they don't. Not to mention they don't have any other players really there. Grant Calcaterra is going to be a free agent. Kylan Granson is going to be a free agent. So I think you bring back Dallas Goedert, and then you draft his successor in the second, maybe third round, and have him develop under him for a year.
What do you think he can get, though? Because drafting the successor, they should have done 2 years ago. If they bring him back on a 1-year deal, it's only 1 year of learning under Dallas Goedert. What is the market for Dallas Goedert after the season he had?
2 years, maybe?
Yeah, maybe 2 years. Let's not forget he has an injury history.
I think he's getting more than that.
It didn't really that didn't really manifest this season. He was relatively healthy, aside from I think he missed the Chiefs game. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it would be more than 2 years.
Okay. All right. What else?
All right, we got a duel of A.J. Brown questions to lead off this segment. And this texter asking, if they should trade A.J., what would be your assumed price for a return?
Maybe a 3 that turns into a 2. I mean, he's going to be 29 years old.
Big money contract.
Big money contract. That right now, off the top of my head, might be something that would be realistic. I would be floored if you get a first-round pick. I just don't see that happening. But maybe a 3 that becomes a 2, but based on certain incentives.
That's what I said yesterday. I said you could maybe get something like that. The contract is going to make it really cumbersome.
Yes.
By the way, not a question, but a statement on YouTube that I just want to bring up during said segment.
What's that?
I'll be kind. Don checks in. Draft Diego Pavia, please. First off,
what?
People are saying he's not going to get drafted. That's number one. Number two, he doesn't even want to go to the draft yet. He's trying to sue the NCAA to allow him to play college again.
Yeah, he's trying to pull an Alex Moran from Blue Mountain State.
Yeah, like
he wants to hang around.
That's not a guy that I really want who's like afraid to go to the next level.
Do you realize how unpopular he would be in an NFL locker room?
Not only that, you also have to factor in the interview process, right?
Oh my gosh.
During the NFL scouting combine and all of that. I think he's still talented enough to be a day 3 flyer, a late day 3 flyer.
He would be so You think Shedeur Sanders was potentially like red flags?
Right.
This guy would be tremendous red flags.
What else?
Bill in Harleysville has more of a point of information question. Who appoints those supplemental coaching roles, such as past game coordinators? Is that the head coach or the OC? I only ask because if they were to hire, say, a Mike McDaniel, would he even want to keep Kevin Patullo on staff?
Yeah, that's a great question. I imagine that's the head coach that makes those decisions about how he wants to sort of assign roles. But yeah, I mean that's the facts of the matter. Look, when the Eagles explored the Cliff Kingsbury sweepstakes, sort of the fork in the road was when he wanted to bring in his own coaches. So there's always that. You bring in another offensive mind, they may have an idea of what they want their coaching staff to look like, and that may not involve some of those other coaches. But then again, it might. I think that's fair.
I still can't believe he'd still be here. Like, to me, pride comes in. But.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say that my pride would you know.
And there is enough people that have told me he will absolutely be able to find a landing spot. He has enough relationships around the league. He'll find a landing
18
spot.
years.
He's not going to find a coordinator position, but he can find a landing spot.
Sure. I mean, I mentioned Shane Steichen, Kellen Moore. There has to be a senior role out there for him because I do believe that he would be valued somewhere else in a different capacity.
What else?
Now, we welcome all questions on this segment, as long as they're related to what we're talking about. So JJ in Allentown wants to ask, back to the Jalen conversation. Andrew, do you think Jalen's lack of running is due to the fact that he put on some weight? I'm not trying to body shame him, but he looks heavier than past years.
What?
No, I think that was more of an organizational focus this year to get him to the playoffs. Because if you look back at the previous Decembers, whether it was an ankle, he had the finger. I think he had the shoulder. He's been banged up in December. So I was also of the belief that they were going to turn it loose in the postseason, and all of a sudden you're going to do whatever it takes to win. And he didn't run as much there either. I don't think it has anything to do with what you're suggesting, as much as it may have to do with Jalen Hurts looking to extend his career and think about longevity. But I'm curious to see if this becomes a prevailing trend next season, because if it does, as I mentioned, you are severely depriving the offense of something that makes it special.
By the way, Jalen Hurts putting on weight is not something that has remotely crossed my mind. I didn't see that.
Jalen has a very, very impressive physique.
I don't think he borrowed the Harden fat suit.
No, I don't think they were saying got fat. I think maybe they're talking about put on more muscle to try and stay healthy.
Well, then that's different.
Yeah, sure.
Putting on weight isn't putting on muscle.
Well, that is weight.
All right, what else we got?
All right.
You say
hey,
put
John,
on muscle.
Muscle weighs more than fat, damn
I understand.
That's true.
That's what the scale tells me.
All right, so this texter wants to get us back to our original conversation, Dot in West Philly, but they do have a question here at the end where they're talking about a quarterback who could have all of the qualities that you want, such as height, arm strength, intelligence. But what quarterback brings all of that to the field at once for every season, in every game? Is there a perfect quarterback in the NFL right now, in your opinion?
No, there is not. Every quarterback has imperfections.
Right.
Now, some have more than others, but you take your pick, whether it's Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, they all have imperfections. It's about tailoring the offense to the strengths of those quarterbacks, and as an offensive coordinator, getting them to sort of break the mold, push yourself to certain limits and try to evolve their games, and also for the quarterback being willing to accept those changes.
All right.
Yeah, like Jalen Hurts' imperfection is he's fat. Apparently.
Yeah, he's fat apparently. That was a new. Hey,
welcome to the offseason,
That's
boys.
incredible.
We hear it all, man. We hear it all.
That's tremendous.
So we got a text from what was it, Christina?
Yeah, Christina checked in.
So in case
Not my Christina.
if you weren't listening, Sean Rodman, who's our associate producer, let us know that a woman by the name of Christina called in, said didn't want to go on the air, but thanked us for all the education on football she gets from listening to the show. And immediately everyone on YouTube's like, is she drunk? Did she get her head hit?
In order to be able to talk football with her man.
But she apparently texted in. What do we got?
A lot of really kind folks there in the YouTube chat.
They always are. So we know now her boyfriend's name is Jerry, and Christina checks in, says, is Christina responding to the head injury or being drunk? That's a negative on both. She says, I also work at Roofers Local 30, and you help me carry convos with all of the roofers.
See,
as
that's
well.
awesome. And
Shout
the
out Roofers Local 30, man.
And the Roofers Local 30, they're the example I always give of the people when I say, when Nick Sirianni says, we're working hard. We're working hard. Nick, you make $9.5 million a year. Stop telling me you work hard.
To not know
You're
how to fix an
expected to work
offense.
hard. Now, Roofers Workers Union Workers 30.
Damn right.
Those damn people, they're working hard. They're out there in the cold and the freaking heat up on roofs risking their lives. Those guys, they're the guys who work hard. They're
Hell
the
yeah.
ones who have to work hard.
Hell yeah, Johnny.
You make $9.5 million a year. Don't tell me you work hard.
Hell
ever.
yeah, Johnny.
Over and over again.
Get him.
Work hard.
Get him.
We work hard. Yeah, in air-conditioned
Sick 'em.
offices.
Sick him.
Stop
I
it.
gotta put a muzzle on you sometimes.
Please.
All right, coming up next. Eagle legend Jason Kelce spoke on who the next offensive coordinator should be for the Eagles after he defended Kevin Patullo. Hear who Jason Kelce thinks would make sense for the Eagles offensive coordinator position. And we'll get more of our texts on the Jalen Hurts topic. If you could take Logic out, pick him up, put him to the side, put somebody else in, would you do it? I say no. I watched this guy win a Super Bowl 11 months ago. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The East gets interesting. I'm Connor Thomas, and the NFC East just got a little more interesting overnight as Adam Schefter reported around midnight last night that John Harbaugh and the New York Giants are expected to agree to a deal to make him their next head coach. It's not officially done yet, but when Schefter reports it, it's pretty darn well as good as good. So that's not good, though, for the Philadelphia Eagles, a high-level coach adding to the divisional rivalry. As far as the Eagles are concerned, they need to add a high-level coach to their offensive coordinator position after moving on from Kevin Patullo. And Adam Schefter joined us yesterday on Kincade Salciunas, and he talked about who the Eagles could be looking at.
I think I would look at all the guys who are on the interview circuit now. Most any of them with an offensive background that don't get a head coaching job, you immediately could put into the bucket of candidates. That would be, I would think, under consideration.
Well, that's a lot of names to consider. Eagles better get to work. We'll keep you updated on their OC search. Phillies had a big loss in free agency yesterday. Rangers Suarez signing a 5-year, $130 million deal with the Boston Red Sox. Rangers spent 8 years here in Philly, including closing out the pennant-winning game of the 22 NLCS. The Sixers fell to the Cavs 133-107. They're off tonight. Flyers lost 5-2 to the Sabres. They play the Penguins tonight in Pittsburgh. That game at 7 p.m. You can hear it live here on The Fanatic. This update's brought to you by the Positive Coaching Alliance. Questions about youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit organization, develops better athletes and better people through youth and high school sports. Info at positivecoach.org. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the Best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincade Salciunas is presented to you by The Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. You need details? Go to Bagster.com.
All right, coming up in a few minutes, just to kind of lighten the mood. Did we ever get any Phillies video yearbook texts?
I got to go back through.
Speaking of lightening the mood, I want to do 3 lighten the mood topics in this segment.
I had a few on here, but I don't feel comfortable reading them. They're not bad as far as like I can read them on air, but they just don't seem appropriate.
Okay. The Phillies video yearbook.
I'd rather watch the highlights of 9/11.
Oh God.
Like it's
okay.
like
You know,
people like that.
That's
like
a bit
it's
much.
like people are like, I don't want to watch the Phillies.
That's a bit much.
Like it's like people are like, why do you want to subject yourself to watching that?
The Phillies 2025 video yearbook debuted last night.
All right. What do you celebrate?
And I need to know if you did watch it or if you are planning on watching it. Why?
I will not.
There is nothing good that will come of that other than if you're like a production fan, like you love.
I want to know if Ray Dunn, we'll find out if Ray Dunn watched it.
I imagine that
he may have been sitting there at 7 o'clock waiting for it to drop.
I hope not.
Like this season sucked ultimately.
It was terrible.
You had Schwarber, you had Sanchez. And then what?
Like it was like
disappointment, failure.
Like when you know to go, if you know you're going to watch the movie ends with something terrible. It's just like, you know, and the thing is the last 3 years movies ended that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch the Eagles 2025 video yearbook. Like
no,
what I didn't want to watch in-season Hard Knocks. Like
oh, really? You didn't watch?
No. Not a second. I watched clips.
I got to tell you that last scene
we'll be back
with Jalen and
no
Nick,
doubt.
The two of them, I honestly, it looked like the last scene from every soap opera on a Friday.
That's fair.
I mean, they're both they know the cameras are on them, and it's like this big dramatic, you know, we'll be back.
Part of me feels like a director or producer of
Guys,
Hard Knocks.
do it again.
I know it's supposed to be like natural.
Guys, do it again.
They were probably like, all right, can everybody leave the room?
Hey,
but Jalen, Nick, we need you to stay for one more shot.
right. You sit here and you stand there.
Jalen,
it
look
reminded
pensive there. Look pensive against the wall. Jalen, pose.
It reminded me of that last scene in Point Break where he's like, he's not coming back. And I'm like, I guess for dramatic effect, yeah.
The acting was just as poor.
Oh, God.
It was like, I mean, come on. I mean, give me a break.
All right.
So staged.
Jason Kelsey spoke on what he would like to see the Eagles do at offensive coordinator on New Heights yesterday.
This is where we're at now. And now we can bring in some fresh ideas. We can figure out a way to maximize things.
While keeping that nucleus together.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I don't think it needs to be anything actually that drastic. I think we probably want somebody who's been proven offensively as a successful coach, and he could come in and look at things under a new lens with a lot of similar pieces.
My one question for Jason, if we ever had a chance to have him in for 2 hours on a radio show, would be, did you feel that way last year? Because I felt that way last year. You felt that way last year. I understood why people would say, hey, give Patullo a shot because he's been here. My biggest hang-up, and John, I know that was yours. You made it very clear, was the no play calling experience in the 17 years that he played or that he was a member of a coaching staff in the NFL. It almost feels like there are a lot of people now going, you know what, maybe it would be a good idea to have somebody with experience.
You know, the conversations we're having this year, it's as if everybody just put them aside last year. And there are bright minds in college and on staffs that could have been talked to last year.
Yeah, even in college, I don't expect them to go with an inexperienced play caller. I'm not saying that, but you like Nathan Shieldhouse, who's the pass game coordinator for the Rams, who was with Iowa State. The Eagles looked into him a couple years ago.
Right.
I don't think they would go that route, but he is a bright young coach that's on the ascent. G.J. Kinney, if you remember him, he was in training camp with the Eagles. He was a quarterback, and then they converted him to wide receiver. He was an offensive assistant in 2019. He became the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach at Hawaii, head coach at Incarnate World, head coach at Texas State. And I think everywhere he's gone, he's made a noticeable impact, and he's a coach that I've tweeted about, I've talked a lot about, and I followed his career, and he's viewed as a bright, fast-rising coach. But all that being said, that doesn't mean that this is the right time and place for something
Yeah,
like
I
that.
just mean we all know there's an art to calling plays. You can know everything in the world about football, but if your brain's not going like this when it comes to play calling, thinking about 2-3 plays down the road, what's my defense been doing today? How bad has my offense been today, or what has worked for my offense today? If your brain's not clicking like that, and I know it's not easy. Like, I'm not saying Kevin Petula had an easy job because of the talent around him. Play calling's hard. But to go to a guy that had no experience and then it showed that he had no experience, I don't know why all of a sudden it's a talking point. Maybe we should get a guy with experience. That was what we were saying all along. It wasn't that Kevin Petula had no shot. It would probably be better to have somebody. And that's why, like, the Loeffler stuff came up in the season.
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of the folks that were pushing that narrative didn't even know who Scott Loeffler was at the time, which always made me chuckle. They didn't even know how to say his last name. But to sort of defend the Eagles a little bit here, and they won the Super Bowl. It was in mid-February. The pool of coaches that you have to choose from shrinks dramatically. And I think in that case, you look at a coach that has, at that point, been with them for 4 years. You're thinking, we know him, we're comfortable with him, the players know him, so it felt like a seamless fit. It's easy to look back in hindsight and say they should have done this, but I understand why they went the way that they did.
Well, that's the one thing is I can go with that. I didn't use the hindsight. I just used the common sense of saying the average play caller in the NFL who was doing it usually stays on an NFL staff between 5 and 6 years before they get the opportunity to call plays, not 17. There's a reason you stick around for 17 years and never get poached, never get the opportunity.
Well, he's bounced around.
Yeah, but he never got the opportunity to get poached as a play caller. The average play caller lasts usually 5 or 6 years before they get the opportunity to call plays. 17 is absurd. I mean,
but I will say this. If you think, and I'm not saying you do,
okay,
but for those who think that swapping out the offensive coordinator is going to be this cure-all, this magic formula here, that nothing to see here, set it and forget it, let the good times roll, I got a bridge to sell you, because there is a lot of other issues that still need to be rectified for the offense to function as it should. I look at the offensive line and the questions presiding over that group. There's the A.J. Brown question that's going to be something that carries through the offseason. And the offense as a whole, if you're the new play caller, if you're appointed, will you have full autonomy to run your system, or will you be doing it through the lens and the vision of someone else?
All right. Do we have any texts on the video yearbook?
We do not. Nobody's checked in on that. I don't think a lot of people have watched
I hope not.
Because nobody watched it.
Yeah,
And you know what? That's a good thing. Sorry for the hardworking men and women that put it together.
And it looks like it'll be of good
I'm
quality.
sure it's tremendous quality. All right. First off, you were not here when we first talked about it. Ranger Suarez no longer with the Philadelphia Phillies. Your thoughts on the Phillies losing one of their more consistent, obviously health was always a factor, but when healthy, the guy was great and, man, cool as it could be. Your feelings on Ranger Suarez leaving Philadelphia. Credit to him for good job for getting the money.
Yeah.
Happy for him.
Well deserved, of course. But I always respected his professionalism, willing to do whatever the team needed him to do. He was tough, and he may not have been the flashiest pitcher out there, but I really respected his resolve and willingness to be a team-first guy.
5 years, 130, man. That's life-changing money.
I can't believe they gave that money, and they wouldn't give the money to Bregman.
Yeah,
Like
it was a weird relationship last year.
Like, it's weird to me.
But the Bregman Red Sox fans, Boston Red Sox fans did not like Alex Bregman last year, so maybe they were just kind of
by the way,
fan base.
In case you guys are curious, Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman will be speaking today at approximately 2:00.
Unfiltered with another day where they could just put their feet up. Unbelievable.
Well, Bill will
we get it tomorrow.
Bill will say that he hopes that they should be very pleased with the season they had at 11-5, 11-6.
All right, I have a non-sports related question. Something that we got into on post-show headlines. He's not here today. I wish he was, because I would like to talk to him about it on air.
Who's that?
Our man Shukri Wright, who does a million things here at the Fanatic, right? One of the key cogs here at the station.
Okay.
Over-the-top fist pounder. Aggressive.
Yes, he's over the top.
Like breaks your knuckles when giving you the fist pump. We had a conversation
like he's an enforcer from The Sopranos.
Well, remember when he was coming around shaking our hands, he came in with the handshake, and I met his handshake with probably the strongest handshake I've ever given. Just you got to give a firm handshake.
So the reason why I bring it up, because you're a firm handshake guy. Why do people feel the need to do it? And I'll ask you, Andrew, because you are a firm handshake. And look, I'm not talking fish, right? Like I met.
They don't do the cold fish.
My sister had a boyfriend way back, not the one that she married. When I was like 14, and my handshake was better than his. And,
really?
That was bad sign right away.
That's a bit.
All right. But you're an aggressive handshaker.
Yeah.
Shukri's an aggressive fist pounder. Why?
I think it just comes from strength. I
don't find you an aggressive handshaker, though. You have a good.
He's a squeeze guy.
But he has a strong handshake.
You do the squeeze.
I just view it as professional. I don't know.
Okay.
Make a statement.
I just perceive it as strength.
I think you just have a guy's handshake.
And I know the grip strength. You won that, right?
And DeCecco,
I did. I won that here.
Yeah, you won the Fanatic grip strength.
He also makes eye contact when he talks to people,
which is important. Yeah.
Which is very
very
very important.
I do. Why? Do others not?
No, yes. There's
Really?
a lot of people who shake hands and don't make eye contact.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not like that.
Yes.
I am a peek down to make sure we're locking, though. Like shaking hands.
Yeah, I don't do that.
I don't go in blind.
That never even crosses my mind.
I can't go in blind. Like, you know the trajectory of the hand every time?
Yeah, dude, it's in the same place
It's a little bit of a glance. It's like there's a little.
I do a peek
there's
down.
There's a little bit of a glance.
Yeah, because you don't want to miss.
You can see, your peripheral vision should be good enough. You played catcher. Your peripheral vision should be good enough that you can still see where your hand is.
Yeah, look, I can catch a two-seam with run. I don't know if I can catch a hand sometimes.
I'm telling you.
It's just below the wrist. Always has been.
Coming up next. Could the Eagles lose a key member of their coaching staff? One that is thought of much higher than Kevin Patullo. Sorry to take a shot at you. We'll tell you who next. Andrew DeCecco may be devastated. His devastation for this man may be my devastation for Dallas Goedert if he were to have left the Eagles this past offseason. Talk about next. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now back to Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
It is 9:47 here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We have Middays with Marks coming your way at 10 o'clock. Don't forget, incredible deal of the week going on right now. Just go to 97.5thefanatic.com/deals. You can get open to close lift tickets to Camelback Mountain for just $40. That's 12 hours to enjoy 39 trails, fully lit night skiing, and high-speed lifts at the largest ski resort in the Poconos. Again, 97.5thefanatic.com/deals. Maybe you were late to the party getting somebody a Christmas gift. And it's a hey, oh my God, I forgot to get somebody this. And I'm going to see them next week. That could be a good gift to give someone.
Or you have somebody that you've been saying, we're going to get together. We got to go do something. Or you've been saying, trying to plan an outing.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, that's a lot of fun.
Dude, deals are deals. It's like every summer when we have like the Maury's Piers, like just get it. You can use it whenever. Like this deal of the week, you don't have to use tomorrow. Use it whenever. 97.5thefanatic.com/deals. All right, Andrew, we talked about him just last week when you were in last Thursday. There was the article from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN where he kind of did here's what I'm hearing about the coaching staffs all over the National Football League. It wasn't just about head coaches that were going to get fired. It was also coaches that could get taken away because there are coaching vacancies and people want to build their staff. And one of those coaches that we talked about last week was Christian Parker. And there was a report yesterday, I saw it from Jordan Schultz, that Christian Parker was requested by the Dallas Cowboys to be interviewed for their open defensive coordinator position. So go ahead. I want you to talk more about Christian Parker. You have spoken highly of him ever since I've met you. So how big of a loss that could be for the Eagles and how much of a gain that could be for any team, not just the Cowboys.
Yeah, you could tell that he was a special coach versed in explaining the fundamentals and the why behind what he was asking players to do. Having chatted with him, I guess it was Rutgers Pro Day a couple years ago. We spoke for 20, 30 minutes. And, when you look across the board, wherever he's been, he was a quality control coach with Green Bay. He went to Denver, was one of the few coaches that Sean Payton kept, and he has a track record of elevating Pat Surtain's game or Jaquan McMillan's game, who's their nickel corner, and he's one of the better stories of development in his career. He's an undrafted player. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Those are just some of the players that he's had a hand in developing, but he has a commanding presence. He's really good at teaching and getting the most out of the players that he has. I think there's no mistake that last season, Reed Blankenship played his best season. He got Darius Slay playing at a high level last year as well, and there's always the communication piece. If you can't communicate, you can't play. We've had talks about communication before and how he prioritizes that. And so he always, to me, carried himself like a defensive coordinator, even just being 34 years old. But, man, that would be a home run hire for the Dallas Cowboys. He would really start to head that part of the ball in the right direction. Then you couple that with their offense, which is pretty explosive, and all of a sudden that's quite a combo.
We talked before the game on Sunday about him because a buddy of mine who's on the Ravens staff, who was on the Ravens staff, said that Christian Parker was, to him, one of the biggest young up-and-coming names to be defensive coordinator and head coach. He said he will be a head coach, which is great because you have always had your eye on him as far as being a believer in his talents.
Yes. Sharp. I believe when I asked Sean Payton at the NFL Scouting Combine a couple of years ago, he called him a bright young coach and said Christian's really sharp. And I think for what we know of Sean Payton, he doesn't normally give those type of glowing endorsements. And again, there's no mistake why they tried to keep him on that staff when there was they jettisoned so many coaches when he came on. They wanted to keep a young coach, and he's just 34 years old. I think that he has his best years are certainly in front of him in terms of what he wants to do.
So I think one question that you had in your email, John, is like, could the Eagles do something to
is there any
keep him
maneuvering
around?
Like the assistant head coach or something like that? You think there's any kind of trickiness, or do you think it's time for him to take the move to D.C.?
I think he's ready to move to D.C. to be a defensive coordinator, and when you have that opportunity, those jobs open so few and far between. He's had interest from other teams in the past. I think he's ready to make that leap and further his career. As much as that will be a detriment to the Philadelphia Eagles and their coaching staff, I really do believe in Christian, in his vision, and I think he has, like I said, a very bright career in front of him.
I've been led to believe, too, that the Eagles would be with their full blessing of, you've been awesome. Like, you've been – like
you couldn't ask for anything more than what he did, making the most out of the players that he was working with and taking them all from here, which I know you can't see if you're listening, but from here to amplifying their career to another level.
All right, so right now we are in a time in Philadelphia sports where it's like refresh time, right? Refresh the Twitter page, trying to see what information comes out. A lot of people were wondering how come Ken Patullo wasn't fired like 6 minutes after the Eagles lost on Sunday against the 49ers. You knew it was going to happen, just a matter of when. How quick is this process of trying to get the next offensive coordinator? Because they're going to want to start working. I know it's the offseason, but they're going to want to start working at some point. Or is this something where it could take a little bit longer?
Well, it usually takes about a week or two because you have to parse through the candidates. This isn't something that they just decided on at the end of the season.
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me if every good organization, the Eagles obviously are, you compile a list of coaches in the event that something doesn't go right. And so that probably took shape earlier in the year. But because of all that, you have to parse through these names, and I think it probably takes about a week or two.
Remember, top candidates are usually gone before the title games.
Right, exactly.
So the title games will be a week from, we're divisional playoff week. Then it'll be, we're getting ready for title games then. So it'll be before title games. So you probably got like another week and a half. You got to get moving, especially for the biggest names on the market.
I can't ask you for a prediction for the Eagles, unfortunately. What's the NFC Championship game?
We'll say Seahawks, and then it's really anybody's guess. I don't know.
I think Rams over the Bears, even though it's in Chicago. I think it's Seahawks-Rams. I think that's what
Seahawks-Rams would make the most sense. But I think based off of the field right now, I think the Seahawks have the best chance of getting there, and I would maybe the Rams, although they didn't look particularly stout against the Panthers. And if they play a game like that this weekend, I mean, that could be the end for them.
That's who the Rams have been playing for a month and a half. Rams have been giving up
you're right.
Rams have been giving up 33 points a game against.
But that offense
33 points a game.
That offense saves them,
when teams play their starting offense, they've been giving up 33 points a game.
Well, it could be 1-2-3 Cancun if they don't get it together this weekend. So we'll see.
It's unbelievable.
All right. So Middays with Marks comes your way next. As you heard Andrew mention, Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni will have their end-of-the-year press conference coming up at 2 o'clock. Obviously, we read the statement a couple of times to you yesterday when Nick Sirianni made the decision to part ways with Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator. I wonder if we find out during the press conference today if he is indeed still a part of the coaching staff.
Can't miss Unfiltered today, then.
Yeah,
I mean,
right at the start of the show, man.
They'll have all that, and then they'll have all the reaction.
Yeah.
All afternoon.
So that comes your way at 2 o'clock. Bow Watch will continue tomorrow. Every single day there's been a new report during the afternoon that we've been able to react to. 647 has been Bow Watch, the daily Bow Watch segment, which I appreciate. Andrew, as always,
Thanks,
great work. You were fantastic all season long. You're not done. But just wanted to give you, your props again for what you did this year. You were tremendous with us and what you do for Inside the Birds. So we just want to give you your kudos.
Thanks a lot, guys. It's always fun. And now we turn the page to the offseason and draft season.
Yep. Rip up all those stories you were working on for Chicago.
That really saddens me because I had so many stories I wanted to keep writing.
Yep, they all go into the trash folder. Everybody have a great day. Middays with Marks next here on The Fanatic.